What's up, everybody? It's the offseason. It's officially the offseason now for the Eagles. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it. Let's go.
Let's go. This ain't the fuck like oh, this game he stinks.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio. We are brought to you by Fan Up, the best way to enjoy your fantasy sports and everything else. Make sure you use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, a $50 value. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, wherever you download your podcasts. And if you're listening to us on your commute, we appreciate the support. It's your boy Chucks. It's Pete over to my left. What's going on, bro?
Cooler, man. How's it going there on the right side of the screen? I'm finally starting to get this shit down where opposites attract. So I keep pointing this way. It goes that way. That's not how it works when it's in real life. If you don't know, you never been on camera before. It's a little adjustment period. I'm good, man. I can't complain. You actually caught me before. I don't listen. I know we talk about Marvel and all that other stuff. Yeah, the nerd talk is gonna start from the beginning. I'm big into anime, so I was actually reading the new manga from the Boruto series, The Next Generations. I don't like how it's going right now. I was deep in it. So I kind of want to get the show over with. But no, man. Happy to be here. I can't complain, man. I can't complain. Yourself?
That's awesome. I'm doing well. Before we get into anything else, I also want to give a shout out real quick to Philly Drinkers. If you guys remember,
plug it.
The place where you get all your A2D merch. Get their new shirt.
Well, I'm about to say, what is their newest shirt, Chucks? What is their newest shirt?
The newest shirt is inspired by moi. Okay. I had the idea. I ran it by our guys over at Philly Drinkers, and they ran with it. They made it come to life. I've always wanted a shirt that says this. Mm-hmm. So I finally got it. I got more than one shirt just so I can have backups and stuff like that. So
did you get the same color or did you get like different?
It's only one color. It's only in black. Only comes in black.
I mean, I'm not. Hey, black is the the color to be.
Matches everything. But yeah, get your shirt today, guys. With draft season coming up, this is a perfect opportunity to get this shirt. So running backs do matter. But we are here to talk about the Eagles' loss to the Bucs, and doing so, bringing on the end of their 2021 NFL season. So we will talk about that. We'll talk about the game. We will talk about we'll do a year in review for the whole season. Okay. I'm sure we're going to do a bunch of these during the offseason, but we'll do like our first type of year in review, a glance at the season as a whole, get a macro point of view and a look back of what the season that was. And then obviously we'll talk about the NFL playoffs, the games that happened this past weekend during wild card weekend. Also, the games that are coming up. We've got some great games coming up. So we're going to dive into that. And then, of course, we're going to finish up with no huddle. So let's get into their first quarter and talk about this game. And the first quarter is brought to you by eXp Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, if you're looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at allen.foy@exprealty.com. Our poll question today, which is brought to you by All Campus, which is the home of A2D's Rant Booth. They are giving away 20% off everything in their store, including hat shirts and team cornhole sets to all their subscribers. The poll question: the defense of the Eagles was not the biggest reason for their loss to the Buccaneers. Agree or disagree? So I'm going to get to the first comment real quick, which is by Andy Ritter. He just says, "What's up, boys? Just here to show some love." We appreciate that, Andy. And the first comment is brought to you by our guys at manscaped.com. Hey, 20% off, A2D promo code. You know what it is. If you need something like that, go get it. 20% off Manscaped. All right, Pete. If you don't mind, do you mind if I kick off the...
Oh, no, not at all. Not, by all means, sir. The floor is yours.
So, I appreciate it. Thank you. The Eagles' defense was not the biggest reason for the loss to the Buccaneers. I agree to the poll. And it's so funny because, like, I don't want to make it come off like I'm gloating at all or trying to pound my chest. But in a way, I know I am, so I'm just going to do it. Because during the game, second drive, like the first drive was bad. We gave it the touchdown.
Right.
And, that was bad. Okay, the defense, not a good start for the defense at all. I'm not going to make any excuses for that. But then the second drive comes, and I see, hey, look, it's man coverage. They're playing press man. Hey, look, they're sending five rushers. They're blitzing. But with all these adjustments going on, I'm seeing it before my eyes. I'm seeing it right on the screen. We still get people online, Eagles fans, saying, "What is he doing? Gannon is still playing soft. What is he doing? He's not bringing pressure and everything." I cannot believe that fans will just spew hot air during a game when it's right in front of their faces. Second drive of the game, and Gannon's making adjustments, and the rest of the game, they actually have some decent success. I'm going to say decent success. They started to get to Brady. They started to put some pressure on him. And, hey, looking at the big picture, I think the defense did a solid job. I'm not going to say great, not going to say good. They did a decent / solid job against the Bucs. And I don't know why people, again, are sticking to certain things that are just inaccurate. The defense made adjustments. They made adjustments during the game, and still it wasn't stopping them. Like schematic wise,
right.
You got from Gannon what, for the most part, I'm not saying he was perfect that game, but for the most part, you got out of Gannon what you would want. You got a guy who adjusted after the first drive. You got a mix of coverages. You got man, you got press, you got zone, you got blitzes, you got mixed fronts. You got Fletcher Cox was playing as a joker linebacker on one snap. So you got a mix of stuff from Gannon, but people still don't want to blame the players. The day after the loss, everything, all the articles, like Sports Talk Radio, their poll questions, it was, trying to figure out who was most to blame for the loss. And it was Jalen Hurts and Nick's and Jonathan Gannon. There was no mention of any of the players that lacked execution. So
I'm looking at Chrome's comment. No, you're going to wait, sir. You wait.
So I don't understand. Again, like the defensive line started to get pressure, and that's when the defense started to play well. All right. So I'm glad they started to get pressure and started to win at the line of scrimmage, and that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. So I don't hold the defense as the biggest reason for the loss.
So What is the biggest reason for the loss in your opinion?
The offense. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay.
I won't get too much into detail. I'll let you answer the poll question first, but I agree to the poll. It's absolutely the offense. The defense was not the biggest reason for the loss. And on that note, let's bring in our beloved. What's up, Chrome?
The Brahma
What's up,
Bull
boys?
shirt.
Brahma Bull. I like that.
I had no intention of joining tonight, but I can already tell by reading some of these fucking comments. And I didn't even plan to curse tonight, but I can already tell. I need to come in here and I need to say a few things. But I'm gonna let you go, Pete. Go ahead.
I agree to the poll as well. The defense was not the biggest reason loss for the Bucs on Sunday. Chucks, you kind of hit the nail on the head. They made some adjustments. We kind of seen some things come out with all 22 takes. And we're not saying we're the smartest guys in the world, but we wear our hearts on our sleeve, you know, and it's hard to figure out everything that's going on when you're watching the game from a presentation angle and they're trying to make it entertaining and they're trying to follow the ball. So you can't really see everything that the defense is doing. But I can sit here and tell you right now, the defensive side of the ball, the defensive coordinator made way more adjustments to what he was seeing and reactions better than what Sirianni and the offense did for whatever right, wrong, or a different reason. And I'll keep it short and sweet, and then I'm going to let Chrome go. The biggest reason why we lost this game is because of this lack of talent and preparation and experience. Exactly it. That trifecta. You didn't have the better talent at the key positions. You weren't better executing. You didn't have the better preparation, and you didn't have the experience. So that's it for me, really short and sweet, because we'll break it down in some more fashions as we go along in the show, get to the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. But that's really it for me on the poll question. They are not the biggest reason why we lost. Worst side of the football is when it comes to talent and premier talent at key positions. And you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You know what I mean? So that's it. Chrome?
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm already seeing stuff about how can you blame Jalen Hurts because of this and that. No, they lost exactly why we said they were going to lose, and it was because if it came down to it and the quarterback had to throw the football, they were done. Put a fork in them, done. You're not going to blame the defense. The defense, 2 bad drives, but the rest of the game, they did their job. They made adjustments. They kept them in the game. But if the offense can't stay on the field and keep the defense off the field, there's only a matter of time before they're going to break again. And it's absolutely on the offense. It's absolutely on the fact that the quarterback can't throw the football accurately or throw it with strength accurately. He has no arm. He has no accuracy. He can't run the RPO, and he proved it again because he was terrible trying to find the opportunities there to hand the ball off to Miles or anybody else for that matter. Absolutely what we expected to happen is what happened. And I'm not even that fiery about Jalen not performing well in this game. Normally, I talked fine last night, but I'm not going to sit back here and I'm not going to tolerate people coming in here with their agendas and saying, how can you do this? He has this option or that option. You know what? Plenty of quarterbacks in this league win with 1 or 2 or 3 options, okay? So he's got just as many options as anybody else who's in the playoffs. The bottom line is you have a team who overachieved. I think a little bit of an overachieved, but also performed probably better than we gave them credit for because they were a little better team than we gave them credit for. But at the end of the day, it's on the quarterback's arm. If the quarterback can't figure out how to keep him on the field, if he can't make the right passes, if he can't run the RPO effectively, then guess what? You're screwed. On top of the fact that they ran up against a team who has not allowed anybody to run the football on them. So it doesn't matter the fact that the Eagles were the most efficient team after week whatever running the football. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
You ran up against a team that didn't let nobody run the football on them this year. A team that has been there before. A team that has unbelievable talent on the defensive side of the football. So no, absolutely not. I'm not going to sit here and have people make excuses for individual players. That's bullshit. Bullshit. The quarterback needs to be held accountable. The head coach needs to be held accountable. And I'm not giving Gannon any kind of a bye, but I'll tell you right now, the one unit that looked like they belonged on the field after the first 2 drives was the defense. The defense overall played very well after those first 2 drives. But the problem is, now you're down 14. Now you need your quarterback to throw the football to get you back in. And what did I say last week, boys? What did I say was going to be the dagger right away if it came down to it? The quarterback throwing the football. And he couldn't do it. Again, like we knew he couldn't.
Now, but does Howie and Nick know he can't do it? That's the problem.
Sorry, I was muted.
I was like, am I shit fucked up?
Sorry. I was saying that's what we're gonna find out either this offseason or next. Do they believe he can throw? Like, obviously, the press conference happened 2 days ago or yesterday.
Yesterday.
You can take it with a grain of salt. Howie last year said similar things about Carson Wentz. We know what happened with that. Him saying that they're gonna go, Jalen Hurts has earned 2022, it means nothing. It means nothing. You have to say that, but at the same time, we know that there's no weight to it. So
right.
I take nothing at face value. However, I do think that Jalen Hurts, barring an unforeseen circumstance, such as being able to go out and grab like a Russell Wilson or somebody like that for a reasonable price, who we all know Russell Wilson is the unicorn for Jeffrey Lurie. And if he has a chance, I don't care what they want to say. All right. Maybe I would go after Derek Carr if it doesn't cost too much to go out and get him.
I'm right there with you, bro.
A couple names out there because I do think that this team proved that if they have a quarterback who can throw the ball efficiently, they're a lot closer than we think they are. But now that you're not, you have to add more weapons around and hope that they can mask the deficiencies of the quarterback, which is fine because there's things that he does that are really, really well as well. But at the end of the day, I take it with a grain of salt because I do believe that what they're saying is the intent. However, if you don't believe for 1 second that they have a chance to go out and get Russell Wilson and they won't make that deal, you're a fool. You're a fool. And I think most people would understand that we're going to take it at face value for what it is right now. But we got our eye over here. It's like that meme, right? You got that little look over your shoulder, right? And the chick's like, what the hell?
Yep.
That's it.
I think Sunday was the best outcome because it killed everything as far as false hope. You are what you are against bad teams. And the record proved itself when you had the opportunity to play good teams and what good teams did against you. And honestly, like we've been saying it now for the last 20 minutes we've been on, the defense adjusted. The defense looked like it was a better, well-prepared unit. And it was already coaching with a handicap. To be honest with you, both sides of the ball are coaching with handicaps. They're fucking handcuffed. Defense is handcuffed because it just doesn't have any successful premier talent at safety, and the defensive line isn't what it used to be. The linebackers kind of overachieved as a whole this year, in my opinion. Davion Taylor going down, I wouldn't think I would say this at the beginning of the year, kind of was, so just keep defending Jalen.
I'm going to correct that, okay? It's not Eagles fans.
Yeah.
It's people with agendas. And the same thing happened with Carson Wentz. That's not an overall fan base view by any means. A lot of people who can't look at things objectively. It's like everything else here, right? The two-party system. Right. You have to be one way or the other. You can't be in between. You can't look at and see the positives and the negatives of both sides. So let's not blanket statement. But yeah, so there are a lot of people out there who have this false narrative or this blind loyalty that they, or to even themselves, that, we didn't want Carson and we pushed for Jalen, so we have to be right. We have to ride this into the ground. Yep. A lot of people that will do that. And unfortunately, they're wrong here. A lot of us here, a lot of things that we'll say. You know what? We'll admit it. We'll take it. I will gladly eat a bowl of shit for something that I got completely wrong. Right? At the end of the day, case in point, I said this last night, I think what we learned here at the end of the season, right? Carson Wentz, not the guy. Not between here. I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy for anybody. Let's be real. I think the talent was there, but there's too much between here now. That's really an issue. And if Frank Wright can't get that straightened out, I don't think anybody can. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Do I think Jalen Hurts is the better option at this point? Yeah, unfortunately I do. Because, and I say unfortunately, not because he's not a good kid. He's a great kid. He's got the leader's mentality. And there's something about him. I love the work ethic, and I love the way that he runs the football. But when it comes down to the arm, it's just not there. It's not something that develops at this level. You don't develop arm strength at the pro level.
I mean, but Sunday,
Football,
Chrome,
high
it
school,
wasn't even
college,
an arm
that's where
strength.
it starts.
Sunday, it wasn't even an arm strength. It's now what you're seeing more prevalent. I forget who
But
told
part
us
of
this.
it was though, Pete, because
It was
he's
this, no, it was,
overthrowing
but I'm
balls,
talking about
it's
the
because
decision making
he
as
doesn't
well.
have the
So
arm strength to
lackluster.
throw it accurately. So he's
Right.
putting everything he has into it, and the ball's all over the place.
He
As
doesn't.
opposed
He,
to, if
you
you
can't-
have that
you
touch
can't
and you
flick
can
it.
throw that
You
ball
see-
deep, then you could drop it down on a dime, like a lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL do.
Yeah.
It does come down
I'm
to
still
the arm
throwing it.
strength, Pete, because he
Yeah.
can't.
Here's-
When he overthrows, it's way off. When he underthrows,
Right.
it's somewhere in the lining in the vicinity of it, but he doesn't have the arm strength to get it to somebody.
I see him. I see him in the background. But no, that's very well said. But I'm talking about we all seen the one play where Quez actually got behind the defense. If he throws the ball and that's a touchdown, he had room. That's like the decision making somewhat is just not recognizing the keys where to go with the ball earlier. But this
You don't
is
think
kinda-
arm strength was a factor in that DeVonta Smith wide open in the
Oh
end
yeah,
zone?
no.
And
But that's
somehow
anticipation
that
though
still
too.
ends up- that
That's what
ends
I'm
up being
saying.
a pick? You don't think arm strength had something to do with that? I think
No,
it was
no,
a
well,
little harder than
absolutely.
that. And I
But
can't
he
get
should have
why-
recognized that earlier too.
Here's the thing with and we've been talking about this for ever since we got Jalen Hurts. Like he is not like I see on social media all these Hurts truthers. Obviously, they always try to prove some point. They show like they'll show a clip of Jalen Hurts throwing a deep ball, and it's like, oh, and people say he doesn't have arm strength, blah blah blah. Like that proves a point. He doesn't have like watch him throw the ball compared to Justin Herbert, compared to Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, all those people who have elite arm strength. And you tell me the difference. And if you can't tell the difference, then you should not be talking about.
I'll do you one better, Chucks.
You-
Don't even give me the top 5. You watch him throw the ball versus Derek Carr. You watch him throw the ball versus
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill. You
It's
watch him first throw the ball
yeah.
versus Ryan Fitzpatrick. It
My
don't
boy,
look
okay,
the same.
Exactly. So it's he just doesn't have that arm talent. His arm strength, I'd say, is solid. It's solid, good, somewhere
It
around
looks-
there. It's okay.
It's so long
It
and lanky, man.
looks like it takes you could see the
You
effort
can
it
see
takes.
it.
You could
So-
visually see the effort it's taking to
So-
try to throw it that deep.
Exactly.
As
So
opposed to
here's the
these
thing.
franchise
thing.
quarterbacks,
When
these
you
guys,
don't have that, when
What
you
do you
don't have that, everything else from a mental processing standpoint, from a
Has to be.
field vision standpoint, anticipation standpoint, has to be top notch to make up for the lack of arm strength. But it's not there. That's why the arm strength is a glaring weakness. That's why it rears
Right.
its ugly head, because the anticipation isn't there.
I'm not going to listen to this rookie year crap or
No.
he's
Yeah,
played
stop
20
with the
games
rookie
at this
stuff.
point, okay?
Yeah.
He's played 20 fucking games in the NFL as a starter. I'm done with listening to how many games this and that, okay? He's a veteran at this point. He's close to a veteran. We're gonna cut that narrative down at the knees.
Yep. Yeah.
Flip it.
Absolutely. And it's so with Hurts. I just wish some people would stop. I'm tired of talking Hurts, guys. Really, I really am.
But
Like,
you
I'm-
have to
I'm
because
tired
that was
of-
the biggest issue.
Yeah, I know.
was a
And
major
I'm
issue.
saying like what I'm saying is that
exactly what we thought it was gonna
We're
be.
gonna have to keep talking about Hurts, but
Right.
it's like it's the same stuff over and over that we have to keep addressing. It's the same stuff because people don't want to admit to it. People are refusing to see what's right in front of their face.
Jacob's point here, real quick. It's not even that it was a bad location. It's that he didn't have the arm strength to get it there to where there was enough time of airtime with the ball for a player to come from the other side of the field, defensive back to come over and make a play on the ball.
Right.
A ball that had no business getting intercepted.
And it should have been
90%
thrown
of the NFL
10 seconds
starting
earlier,
quarterbacks, 90% of you know what? 90% of starting quarterbacks and 50% of backups make that play with twice the velocity that he does and half the effort and get that ball to DeVonta. There was no excuse for that ball to be picked. And that should be a glaring example to people of what your biggest issue is here. The fact that people refuse to acknowledge the fact that this guy is never going to win you games if he has to come from behind with his arm is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that nobody will acknowledge that. that we're going to continue to overlook that and give buys on that.
Did you
just saw
guys?
it. It's happened
Well-
all year. Anytime he's had to come back come from behind, a quarterback has to throw the football, and they never do it. And they never, ever, ever do it. They get garbage time points, but they never actually make a concerted effort in a game at the stretch when they're down 20 points to climb back into a game. And if you think that they do that, you're absolutely fucking stupid.
Pete, did you listen to Q&A this week?
Not yet. Not yet.
I didn't, but I heard a clip. And
Okay.
apparently Jason Avant, he's been catching some flack for this, had been saying something that he doesn't think you could do a better job from a coaching standpoint than Sirianni did to try to get the most out of Jalen Hurts.
No, that
You
I
tried, he
agree
was
with
saying
that
that
100%.
you've tried different offensive schemes,
Right.
you've tried different things to put him in the best situations to succeed, but he's just not an efficient pocket passer. And Jalen and Jason Vaughn had said that he doesn't know about, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he just doesn't know about Hurts as the long-term answer because of reasons you said, Crone. Because of the reasons you said, you get down. What are the chances? What is the likelihood of you coming back? You being able to come back with the passing game? It's incredibly tough. Incredibly tough.
You watch
Now-
guys like Ben Roethlisberger. You watch a guy like, and I know we're going to the elite, but let's go to the Matt Staffords and let's go to the guys who are real legitimate franchise quarterbacks in this league, right? Established franchise quarterbacks. Okay, you go down the list, and what are these guys able to do? If they get into a 2-minute offense, right, or there's 7 minutes left in the game and they're down 2 scores, what can they do? With ease, they can throw the ball and pick up 15, 20 a clip. It's a struggle to get the ball to the freaking markers with this football team.
Yep.
Because anything beyond that, crapshoot with the quarterback.
Yeah. So, and that's the Chrome with that comment and the piggyback off what Chuck just said about Q&A. That was going to lead me to one part of my year in the review is that if you are all in on Hurts again for 2022, you have to change so much shit to where you're handicapping I'll say it right now, DeVonta Smith will never be DeVonta Smith or reach that peak that he was in Alabama with Tua if you continue to have Jalen Hurts as his quarterback, because the offensive scheme you're going to have is going to be so fucking run oriented. You're talking about Baltimore light, and he's not Lamar Jackson. He can't run like Lamar Jackson. He can't throw like Lamar Jackson. He doesn't even have the vision Lamar Jackson has.
Yeah, you're going to have to take the ball out of his hands.
But and that's at that point to go to Jason Avant's point is you can't damage the rest of the team for this one dude because you want to fucking like him so much because he is such a leader. He is such a nice guy. That shit is not going to equate to wins. So while I actively think that they're not picking up the phone and looking to actively move on, but they're definitely fucking listening and now exploring all options because there's a reason why you have the offensive line you have. There's a reason why you drafted DeVonta Smith number 10 overall. You see what I'm saying? You need that. There's a reason why you have Dallas Goedert here. I mean, ultimately, the best offense that he can be in, you would have to get another tight end, honestly, like Goddard, or if not better, for it to be fucking successful. But at that point, that doesn't change the vision. That doesn't change the accuracy. That doesn't change the anticipation. The interception of DeVonta Smith, he should have threw that ball 5 seconds before he even fucking seen it. Because DeVonta had a step on him the whole time.
And let's not even talk about when he totally missed him, how many times he missed him just in the first half, never even looked in his direction when I'm watching.
Yep.
And not just
exactly.
him. Quez. He looks at his first read, possibly his second, and then he panics.
Yep.
That's exactly what he does. He doesn't go through his progressions very well.
Yep.
He doesn't read the defense well enough running the RPO to know when he should be putting the ball in the running back's hands. He runs it himself.
Yeah.
Where he passes the ball, sometimes good, sometimes not. But he doesn't. He's still. I mean, I saw almost a regression the other day.
It was week 3 all over again, bro.
And
it was bad.
I'm not going to sit here and say, well, you know what? They look like they shouldn't have belonged there. And I said this last night, and I'm going to say it again tonight. And that the reason why, first of all, a lot of the 7th-seeded teams did not look good. Let's be real. It just was
Yeah, we had 4 blowouts this weekend.
very weird.
Mhm.
4
However,
blowouts.
we have to acknowledge the fact that for this team, everybody knew going into this, this was probably the absolute worst-case scenario matchup for the first round. So who's to say how they would have performed against another team? But we knew. And the whole, like, they're not going to have this weapon, they're not going to have that weapon. Listen, Tampa's deep, all right? Tampa may not have Antonio Brown, but they got some young guys on that team that have made some plays this year. They are deep.
Yeah.
So
what did I say about
you got
Tyler
Mike
Johnson?
Evans, and yeah, you said it. You said it, Chucks. So I'm not going to sit there and say, well, they didn't belong, because the bottom line is, when you're if there's 7 seeds, it is what it is. You get in on the 7th seed, you belong in the playoffs. Bottom line is what it is. Even if it wasn't, right? We talked last night, the poll question. If you guys haven't watched it, go back and check it out in the Archives podcast, whatever, YouTube, Facebook, wherever we are. The poll question was, despite getting blown out, was the season a success, right? And to me, I look at this team. The defense to me looked like they belonged on the field with Tampa Bay. And I do think that if the offense could have gotten anything going, you would have seen an even better performance from that defense, minus those first 2 drives.
Yep.
Okay? And maybe late. But again, at that point, defense was on the field most of the game. I mean, you talk about controlling the clock. I mean, but if you were to tell me coming into this year in a 6-team playoff that the Eagles were going to be the team just on the cusp, on the outside of it, finishing at the 7th seed and just being outside, I would have told you you're fucking crazy. Told you you're absolutely crazy.
I think we all agree. Yeah.
The bottom line is, when you gauge success, you can't gauge it on one game against the Super Bowl champions, against a team that has guys like Gronk, Mike Evans, all these. I mean, their 3rd-string running back and 4th-string running backs are guys who could start on other teams. Okay, so you didn't have Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. Well, I'm not even a big Ronald Jones guy anyway, but they have other weapons there. So I think to gauge it on a worst possible case scenario for a young team who maybe they didn't beat any winning teams, but they beat who they're supposed to, which they haven't been doing the last couple of years.
Right.
Okay?
So
the bottom line is, beat who you're supposed to beat, then you worry about the rest after. We have not seen that in a couple of years for this team to be beating teams they should be. Absolutely a success.
That's been one of my biggest gripes the past week or so when
Time out, real quick. Put up Carlos Morris's comment. Really, real shit.
Where is it?
The most recent one. Dude, you the reason why fucking Chrome timed in here in the first place. Our poll question had nothing to do with Jalen. Y'all in the chat brought Jalen the fuck up.
Yep.
I wasn't coming on tonight.
We weren't even going to fucking talk about it. It wasn't until you, with the Twitter fingers and the keyboard thugs, wanted to come in here and start talking about bringing up Jalen's name. So as you were, Chucks, I'm sorry.
And
I don't know. You're fine because it's a good point.
So yeah, this is the kind of stuff we talk about here, brother. That's absolutely what we do here. We continue to talk about him, and we talk about the rest of the team.
So we all have. I think us 3 had the same expectations going into the season. We knew this was a rebuilding year, and the fact that we ended up with a winning record, whether it be 9-8 or not, against whomever or not, was to us, I think, exceeded our expectations, or like we would gladly take it, because in all reality, we are a mediocre team. We're not a good team. We're not a great team. We are a mediocre team. But I think I had gripes with people, trying to say like, oh, you only beat bad teams. Since when is that a bad thing? How many times do you see good teams lose to bad teams? On weeks where they shouldn't have been losing. The Bengals lost to the Jets one week. Lost to the Jets. And the Jets didn't even have their quarterback. So, I look at it as, and we'll get into this more in the second quarter when we talk about the year in review, but I just wanted to bring up because Chrome makes a good point. We're a mediocre team. We didn't belong on the field against Tom Brady and that team, and we showed it. We showed it. That's
not what I said, though, Pete or Chucks. That's not what I said.
That's not what he said.
That's not what I said.
Okay, what was your point?
I'm not going to sit there and say because they got the worst matchup possible that they don't belong in the playoffs.
No,
They got the
no.
worst possible matchup, and I actually felt like the defense looked like they belong.
No.
So
I
the
meant
fact that one of
this.
the units looked like they belong doesn't
I
tell me
meant,
it's a team that shouldn't
this.
be
I
there.
meant this. No, again, this is what I meant. I meant that we showed that our inexperience and our flaws on offense were magnified against the Super Bowl defending champions. I had thought we'd be able to. I picked them to win, so I thought we'd be able to pull off the upset because I thought that the running game was still going to be dominant. I was wrong. My whole point is just that I still think this team overachieved compared to what our expectations were. And it's not a bad thing that we beat a bunch of bad teams. I think that's a good sign that we are on our way up and we did what we're supposed to do. You know, we didn't belong in the field in the sense that, hey, they took our weaknesses and they magnified them tenfold. They said, hey, you cannot pass on us. They played off coverage. They stacked the box against the run, and they said, you cannot pass on our defense. And the offense did nothing. So that's the whole thing that's where that comment came from. But I absolutely agree to the fact that we were there and we did a really good job this season of exceeding expectations. Maybe other fans expected more. That's on them, but that's why I had no problem being there. And regardless of what had happened, win or lose, and even though it was a bad loss, I still am optimistic about this team going forward.
And I'm gonna give Jalen Hurts the same treatment that Carson Wentz got, and the same treatment that any quarterback should. He's a young kid now. He's gotten his feet wet. He's 20 games in. He's got playoff experience. And to me, I don't even give that excuse because this is a kid that's been in a national title team, okay? He's been in big games, okay? Played for a couple big programs. So, but even factoring all that in, I'm going to bust his balls all offseason. Not because I want him to fail, because I want him to hear this shit. I'm sick of giving guys passes and not holding guys accountable because we like them, because we don't want to upset them. No. If there's a justifiable reason, if we're saying, Jalen, dude, you run the RPO offense like shit. You can't recognize when to utilize your running backs the right way. You're not going through your progressions on the fucking field. Maybe eventually, if he hears it enough, something will fucking click. Right. So absolutely, I'm going to call him out. And it's a kid I like. It's a kid I believe should get next year. It's a kid that I believe there's something about him that makes you want to root for him.
Yeah.
He's got a winning mentality. He's won before. He has a work ethic that is almost second to none. The guys like to play with him. But at the end of the day, the talent has to be there and the growth has to be there. And I am not in this business, and none of us are in this business, to pat him on the ass and coddle him moving forward. Now you're 20 games in. Now you've had a full season. So, yes, now you get treated like any other quarterback in any other city. You're going to be held accountable to grow. And the only way to grow is for people to call you out on what you didn't do right and for you to work on it in the offseason. Yep. So if you think that I'm not going to fucking sit here, or you think I'm going to sit here and blow Jalen Hurts and pat him on the ass and tell him it's going to be okay, you got something else coming. And again, I like him. I think he should get 2022. I don't think getting a Russell Wilson is the answer right now. But I'm going to call him out on his fucking shit.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I don't think anybody tonight has said that he shouldn't get 2022. He doesn't deserve 2022. They've always simply said has been critical of him, how he played in the game and what he needs to do to take a step forward. And that's if his arm strength does not magically get better overnight, not rookie of the year shit, it's not going to happen. This whole offseason, he needs to work on anticipation and reading and figuring out where he can go. And I'm not even saying have to become a straight drop back pocket passer, because I don't think that should exist anymore. But you need to be able to recognize where your keys are, and you can't leave points out there on the field. And on Sunday, he left points out there on the field. And like I said, like Chrome, you said it. I think Chuck, you may have mentioned it too. What I saw out of Jalen Hurts on Sunday is the same shit I saw out of him when he played San Francisco in week 2. And that's far from what we've seen. Far
Against the
from what we've
Giants,
seen.
that first Giants game,
The first
too.
Giants game. So you're talking 2, 3, 4 months. And maybe this is the thing. His work ethic is so good, but what can't you change, Chrome? When you're in something and you're trying to change it and you're working on it in practice, you get into the thick of it, right? You revert back to your old habits. And I think that's what happened to him on Sunday. And they got to figure out a way mentally just to try to get him out of that shit. But I will also say this about the game. You talked about it before. We talk about the team being young at key positions. People forget this fucking coaching staff is uber young. And
Yeah.
you were going against
Youngest coaching staff in the league.
young, and you had seasoned dudes on the other side that just won a chip. But before that, Todd Bowles has been in the league for over 20 years as head coach. Bruce Arians, obviously, everywhere. Pittsburgh, Indy, now in Tampa Bay. They knew what it was. They know their personnel better than the Eagles do their personnel, which is not hard to believe because they just won the championship. They won a Lombardi last year. So I'm cool with the way. I mean, I don't want to get blown out like that, but is it the end of the world? No.
I'm gonna read Jacob's one question here. Is a good question because we touched on it kind of a bit, but he said, "How much do you think Hurts' lack of abilities limits Sirianni's game plan / play calling? I think it's much more than we know. I believe that's why he wasn't calling plays to Smith on comebacks, even though the Bucs were playing way off because he's afraid of it getting.
No, it's because he wasn't going through his progressions because he wasn't looking for him. That's where the problem is. He wasn't fucking looking for him. He did it with Quez too. He looked first read. That wasn't there. He's looking around the football. He's not handing the fucking football up. He's not doing anything. First read and go because he fucking panicked because they were getting pressure up front and he panicked. It's exactly what happened.
I think that Sirianni is trying his best to call the plays that he wants to call, but Hurts is just not. We've seen a lot of these concepts that we see. We've seen them in Indy when the Frank Reich calling them the screens, the shallow crosses, the mesh concepts, the drive concepts, the high-low reads, the same similar passing concepts we see in Indy. You know, stuff that maximizes yards after catch, stuff that's near the line of scrimmage, and then stuff that kind of makes it, makes it easier for the quarterback, but it requires the quarterback to deliver the ball on time. It's like a true West Coast type of passing offense. Hurts is just not executing it. And like what you said earlier, Pete, if Hurts continues to be the quarterback, I don't know that DeVonta ever puts up the numbers to be considered one of the best wide receivers in the game, even though we know he has the talent to. Production has to be part of it. But
he put up almost 1,000 yards this year, despite the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's a fucking fact. That's not a hot take. That is a fact.
And he still broke the Eagles rookie record.
His rookie year despite the quarterback.
Yep.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. So, and Jesse Davis just here, defense kept the offense in the game for almost 3 quarters. There was a point where the Bucs were kicking field goals and our offense could have made it a game with the touchdown score being 15-7 would have been different. Like right before the half, you get any points before the half, it's a different game. You get I don't even know. So it's on the offense. This game, and I'm sure none of us are absolving the defense of issues. Like they definitely could have played better. Absolutely. The Gannon made his adjustments. There were just things where you don't have the talent. Pete, you talked about it. You don't have.
I've been saying that all year.
You don't have talent. There was a mix of different coverages, right?
Right.
But then, what was it? Right after the Reagor fumble, which I'm not gonna. I refuse to talk about that because so dumb, so freaking dumb. It doesn't mean deserve to get mentioned. But after that fumble recovery on the punt return, or the muffed punt, they had that touchdown to Mike Evans. You're playing cover 4, quarters coverage, and Evans is in the slot. He's a number 2 wide receiver, I believe. There's the thing 2x2 set, and he just runs a corner route. The safety's on him, who's it? Roddy McLeod, right? Roddy McLeod had him. This is why you need safeties. This is why I can say you need better safeties. You need safeties, at least one, to be able to execute that coverage. We just don't have the talent. And Maddox, for as good of a season he has had, and he definitely deserves credit because he's been playing lights out all year. If he's matched up one-on-one in man coverage against Mike Evans, that's a mismatch 1,000 times to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is just a better player.
Taller, size-wise.
Like he's just the better player. So, I mean, and Darius Slay did a pretty decent job, but when it's Darius Slay versus Mike Evans is going to get one or two things go his way too. They're both great players,
especially when he gets moved into the slot.
Exactly.
If Gannon did one thing, he should have had Slay follow him everywhere. I mean, I don't know how much of a difference would have made.
One of the things I wanted to see more.
He should have had Slay follow him everywhere.
Yeah, that's something I did want to see more of. But then you also, if you do that, keep in mind you're forcing the rest of the defense to either play man or you're trying to have some type of zone man mix, which kind of still handicaps the rest of the defense because now you have Gronk, you know what I mean. So you get really in depth with it, but like, yeah, I did want to see more of Darius Slay traveling with Mike Evans in that game. So that's one thing I would have liked to see more of. But I mean, we showed it can't go unsaid. Said at the beginning of the segment with my first comment, people wanted to see certain things, and Gannon did it. Gannon made the adjustments. He was rushing 5. He was blitzing. He was doing everything fans have wanted him to do, and still fans blame him. So I'm just going to leave it.
I mean, I think tonight the crowd that we have here in the chat is way more level-headed. I mean, even Jesse has been chiming in, Ash Aldridge has been chiming in. And then Philly 52 says it best. I'm going to be honest with you. He says he agrees with Ash, but he doesn't like Gannon's philosophy. What we said for 2-3 weeks now. It doesn't matter what the bottom number is. It doesn't matter sometimes with the wins. Certain fans, you want to see effort. You want to see it try. But the thing I would tell Philly 52 is that he's trying the camera angle that you're watching, unless you're at the game unless you know what's going on somewhat, you won't never see it from a camera angle. And I will tell you this, the deficiency that Vontae Maddox with that Mike Evans matchup, what changes that shit is if you knock Brady off his spot and you get a better defensive pressure. We had 29 sacks, which I think was 31st in the league all year, and 11 of those came from Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. Derek Barnett had 2. Bye-bye, see you. I don't think it's going to work out. They need to find pressure from somewhere. I'm hoping David Ojabo lands at fucking 15.
They need another edge rusher. They need someone opposite.
You need something. Because I think safety low-key, to be honest with you, I think they're going to go after a free agent. I think they may try to go after Justin Simmons hard.
Bro, if Justin Simmons comes here, I swear to God.
If they go, I mean, I'll tell you right now, man. If they go and finally get a fucking linebacker this year, I might get naked on A2D Airways of fucking happiness.
Please.
I might run around balls out on A2D. Please. They may have to get a blur bar going. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
it can happen.
It's gonna happen.
It can happen, man.
Could happen.
I think they get an edge rusher, and I think they trade one pick, whether they trade up or trade down. I think they make 2 picks, personally, because I don't believe they're gonna go for a linebacker until I fucking see it. It's possible. A lot of the mock drafts and stuff have them in the range of taking one of these linebackers. I just can't believe it. I can't believe that Howie's going to do it until I see it. I think they go edge rusher, and I think they go for more offensive line depth because you do have to worry about at what point when Kelsey's going to retire, when you're going to start to see Lane at some point start to decline.
There's a rumor that Brooks is retiring. So there's that too.
Well, and that's so there. If he's retiring, and he's hurt all the time. I mean, at this point, you're basically giving money away.
His cap number is 19 mil too, man.
You got Jordan Mailata, but you have to start putting guys behind these guys that are going to be pieces.
Absolutely. So
there's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft, a lot of defensive ends in this draft. Just basically the lines all over the place. So
yeah. Absolutely. And to your point, you were talking about how like not a lot like fans don't prefer this defense, and you know what? That's fine. We're used to an aggressive attacking style defense,
Yep.
and I get that, and I respect. Like if that's what you prefer, that's your prerogative, and I respect it. But you have to at least understand that just because it's not the scheme or philosophy you prefer doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Right.
It's what's in right now. Brandon Staley got a head coaching job because he was a defensive coordinator of the best defense in the league,
With
aka
talent.
the Rams. He had the talent to, yes, but he got a head coaching job because his defense was the best in the league. And what this type of defense does is it limits big plays. You don't get a lot of big plays on this defense. And I guarantee you, if we were giving up a ton of big plays because we were more aggressive but we don't have the horses, we don't have the talent to cover up for that aggressiveness, the fans would still be getting on Gannon for giving up big plays. It's a double-edged sword that, there's no win. There's no win for him. So all right.
We're going to quarter two. So,
I don't know what the quarters are. Let me see if I'm hanging in for quarter two. What's quarter two?
Year in review.
What's that entail?
Just looking back at the season as a whole.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, real quick, quarter two is brought to you by Body Check Wellness. Is a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D for 25% off your order at bodycheckwellness.com.
So, quarter two, year in review. We have a lot of the offseason to talk about this and look back on what was, but let's get a little bit like our quick first thoughts overall. I know we touched on it a little bit already, whether we find this season as a success or not. And I know last night's show, that was their poll question. So it kind of leads into it and everything, but give your thoughts, your deeper detailed thoughts on like what stood out to you guys the most this season, good or bad. What players impressed you the most? What players were you most disappointed with? So on and so forth. Any which way you want to take it. What are your biggest takeaways from this season? Do you see the season as a success overall?
You want to go first, Pete? You want me to?
I'll go first. I think they found a decent head coach. If definitely from his press conferences and where he's at now, maybe on to something. I think they found a possible true number one wide receiver, and they went and got guys who really want it. They have the want to. And they definitely surprised me this season. I mean, if you go into the preseason with the roster is like 28th in the league. And like you said, Chrome, even in the 16 playoff to be that first team out with that next record to be, if they had a 7 team, you're getting in. Nobody would have predicted that for the season. So definitely building blocks you can build off, but they got to hit this shit and they got to get it right in the year interview. They got to get it right. They had a little taste. Now they should want more. It's that first time you get that first Angus steak or that first Ruth Chris steak, and you're like, I want that. I wish I could eat that shit every night. That's the kind of mentality they need to have. So they're definitely in a fortuitous place to potentially build upon that even more.
Yes. So Randall was absolutely right. And looking at Philly here, right? So I'm looking at, the drops. I think Philly 52 is kind of spot on here, right? I've already kind of given my perspective on how I look at the season to me was a success. But if I'm looking at other areas of growth and other areas of disappointment, and again, I mentioned some of these last night, but I'm going to reiterate them here. Dallas Goedert. We had a lot of questions about Dallas Goedert coming in. He had shown big playability. He had shown flashes, but was not quite the guy yet. They move on from Zach Ertz. He becomes the 4th most efficient tight end in the league. To me, that's a huge step forward, particularly considering you just paid the man. And he came in immediately and he started living up to that. So huge win there. Darius Slay to me, bounce back year for him. That was encouraging. Showed that what he gave up wasn't necessarily, for a guy who was, on the way down. I was really encouraged by him. You got to look at the offensive line, right? Offensive line played well. Jordan Mailata, fantastic year. Lane Johnson, another great year for him. Kelsey, we don't know if he'll be back, but I was really encouraged. And again, when we're talking about, you moved on from a Hall of Famer of Famer in Jason Peters. Finally, by the way, fucking finally.
Yeah, finally.
Moved on from a Hall of Famer. And the question was, who's the guy? Is it going to be Andre Dillard? Is it going to be, the guy who never played, a snap of football, but played in rugby? Well, guess what? It was a big boy. He's there. He's a cornerstone. That's a guy they're going to build around. Really happy to see that. You guys know, for me, it's one of my sons.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about sons. I got to go disappointment. Derek Barnett, not a good year. 2 sacks this year. He played all 16 games, started 15, I believe. It's unacceptable. For a guy, when you lose a guy like Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett's supposed to be one of your defensive leaders at this point. He's been around the league long enough. And so a lot of undisciplined play from him at times. And sometimes I think he's almost got the Dwight Howard syndrome now, where they're a little sensitive on the whistles simply by reputation. But
that one call on him was a reputation call.
Yeah.
For both him and Brady. It's
Sure.
Tom Brady and it's Derek Barnett. It's like it's going to get called.
Right.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a contract year. You need to step up, and you need to come. And I don't think he earned himself a contract. I think he's gone. That was a huge disappointment for me. Other successes of on team. I mean, I could go down the laundry list of guys. I thought Quez showed that he belongs in this league.
Yep.
Whether he's a 3 or what his role is, he's shown that he can make plays and catch the football. Probably a 3. You need to get a number 2, somewhere to sandwich there. I'm not even going to talk about Jalen Reagor. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to talk about Jalen Reagor, guys. Because he's exactly what we thought he was. A fucking bum. He's exactly what he thought he was. He disappointed me this year. He did exactly what I thought he would do. And I never thought I would see the day that I miss Nelson Aguilar on this football team. But if I could fucking make that deal at a heartbeat, I would take him back. Because Nelson Aguilar right now
love it.
It's unbelievable. He looks like Hopkins to me right now. That's what he looks like when you sit there and you look at what we're getting with Jalen Reagor. So one of those, be careful what you wish for. I take him back today. I never thought that I would miss him.
Oh my! I never
thought I'd see that.
I never thought I would hear that. That's how bad it is.
And
That's coach, awful.
Pete, I'm with you, man. I felt like the head coach did a fine job through the year. Yep. I'm talking about his first year. He's a guy who's in the conversation for coach of the year to take the team and turn them around. And again, maybe you go by strength. You can only play who they put on your schedule. And they won more games than they did.
Mm-hmm.
With a team that was expected to be a bottom, not just a 4 or 5 win team, guys.
Talk about it, Chrome.
Consensus was they would be a bottom 3 team in the league.
Yeah.
This year. Bottom three team in the entire league. And they made the playoffs. And they did it pretty damn well after a little bit of a scuffle coming out. So you got to give them credit. I thought the head coach did a great job adjusting through the season, game planning, making adjustments.
Watering the flowers. You got to water.
And I got no problem with it. I guess what? Water all the flowers you want. Do whatever you got to do to get these guys playing. I'm in. He can water my fucking flowers. Come on over. But seriously, I that's what I got. I don't know. I'm sure I'm disappointing in more people.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you actually, before you go, Chucks, when's the last time you actually can say you've seen, because you've seen 4-11-1 last year, right? Most of these guys were some of the same guys. Avonte Maddox this time last year, killing me. You feel what I'm saying? When's the last time you had that many guys that you ran through that actually outperformed what your expectations were?
Been years. We've seen so many people progress. It's been years since we've seen young people progress.
Your boy, massive disappointment, Miles Sanders. Fuck him. If I never see 26 ever step in the Eagles uniform again,
I'm not going to argue. Whatever. That's fine. You can't stay healthy. That's good.
See you later.
I think that let me say that because I want to also mention, it's no one's like special, but we were getting nothing from this guy, and we traded a 4th-round pick for him. Jannard Avery, the switch to linebacker, and then him being used as a stand-up pass rusher, he's made some splash plays this season and deserves credit. Like, we were getting nothing from him, guys. He was an afterthought. The only thing he ever did was help us win that Niners game early in 2020. That's it. That's all he had ever did for us.
Mm-hmm.
But he came on
Against
in a
Nick
new
Mullen.
role. Yeah. He came on in a new role and had some splash plays throughout the year. So to have at least some positive impact is already like that's a great thing. I think overall, you guys, I mean, you mentioned a bunch of people that were pleasant surprises, and I completely agree. I also want to spotlight, just as a whole, the 2021 draft class so far has shown a lot of promise.
Mm-hmm.
So you got DeVonta Smith. No need to go further about that. We know we love DeVonta. We all wanted DeVonta here. So 2nd-round pick. This one was more divisive, but I think most of the people in A2D, outside of, I think, Jimmy, were okay with the Landon Dickerson pick. And he's proven to be an absolute monster for our offensive line. Absolute monster. So he's going to have a bright future. You know, he's going to be a stalwart of our offensive line for years now. 3rd-round pick, Milton Williams. He looks so impressive. So impressive. Milton Williams has the potential to be a star in this league, and he's looked so impressive so far. And then you get into the day 3 guys. So, you know, we don't know much about Zach McPherson yet. He didn't get much playtime, but you got Kenny Gainwell, who has shown he's had a few touchdowns this year in limited playing time. And then in the playing time that he has gotten, he's already shown he's a really good receiving back. I mean, he's a really good receiver out of the backfield. And we all kind of knew that, but like it's good that we're seeing already that. That's like where he's starting on. So he should be able to move forward. You got Teron Jackson. I think he was a 7th-round pick. If you
Teron Jackson and Patrick Johnson, yeah, I think they were both 7th-round.
They were like he's starting to come off, you know, and have a role. So this draft class is starting to look good as a whole. And so, I mean, I still am not a believer in Howie. I still am like kind of like keeping my distance a little bit. I'm not gonna, you know, say that, oh, he's back, Howie hero, but he does deserve credit for that draft class. He absolutely deserves credit for that draft class. And I hope, and at least I have a little bit of faith now that him and the rest of the scouting department can do another good job with this draft. You know, we hoping and praying that he will. Now, seeing what he's done with 2021, we hope that he can do the same with 2022.
And it's a little bit different because he actually has money now.
Yes.
A little bit of money to play with.
Another name to highlight, a guy who played real well this year, was TJ Edwards.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Played very, very well this year.
Got another contract, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think 2 years. Was it 2 years?
2 years or 1 year? So it was small, but I mean, that's a third piece. If you, I know me and Chrome will believe it when we see it, but if you fucking draft Nakobe Dean, you give me Nakobe Dean, Davion Taylor, or even Alex Singleton and TJ Edwards. Okay.
If you get one, at least one
linebacker
with TJ Edwards, then you're fine. Now you have the 2 linebackers to put in your nickel package, and you're pretty much set. So, well, not pretty much set, but you get what I'm saying. Like all of a sudden your starting linebacker unit looks a lot better.
Yeah.
There was you were gonna say something, Chrome?
No, just TJ Edwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did. You bring it up. Pete, were you gonna add something to say?
No, I mean, I was going to bring up Milton Williams as a sleeper, but you did. I think that kid holds the key to our defensive line future more than we expect right now. I think a lot of weight is going to be put on his shoulders because of just what he is, what we've seen drafted as a defensive tackle. But actually lining up on the outside and being successful at getting pressure. So I mean, those are all positive things. Just we need to add safeties. I mean, neither one of us have mentioned Kayvon Wallace. Ain't it?
Disappointment so far.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Rodney McLeod, too old. Marcus Epps. He thinks he's Malcolm Jenkins.
He's a decent third safety.
Right.
He's a decent third safety. I'm fine with him there, but
we need elite.
You need
above average.
You need a difference maker. You need a difference maker at safety right now. You really do. Yeah. So I would love it if they got Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons is it's
going to be expensive though. But then from last night, didn't I hear is Honey Badger a free agent after this year too? Did I hear his name come up last night?
I can look it up.
I'm not sure.
He's on the downturn of his
career. There was 7 or 8 of us on last night.
It's always like that.
You think I'm going to catch everything that somebody said on there? You're going to know, especially with my ADD. I'm sitting here, you guys are talking, and I'm listening and processing, but I'm also wondering how the fucking Flyers could dominate a game and still lose. It seems all the time. I mean, the Flyers is a game for them to win. A game they could have won. They played well in this game, but they could not score. That's what happens when it's just not your year.
Are they
second 10-game winless streak of the season?
Jeez.
First time in franchise history.
That kid though, not to replace Hockey Happy Hour, but I know from what I've seen, the little I dabbled in, the kid that's projected to be number 1 is fucking legit in the draft this year. I can't think of his name, but he's a center and he's supposed to be like Crosby-esque.
Let's tank and go get him.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. They're just not doing it in a blatant way.
It seems like it. There was one question here someone had asked. I'm trying to find it again, but pretty much, is there anyone in the offseason, like if you're going to name one or maybe 2 if you want. Here it is. Who do you want in the offseason? Is anyone specific? Tyrann, and I did check. Tyrann Mathieu is a free agent coming up.
It's too early for me to start going into free agency and all that, honestly. I kind of, we don't know who's going to be back, who's not going to be back at this point. I would honestly give it, I'd like to see another wide receiver. I don't want to draft another one. I feel like we've gone down that well way too many times.
That's what I was going to mention.
What is the definition of insanity, guys? What is the definition of insanity? How many times are we going to continue to go down this road through the draft? So maybe a Calvin Ridley, I guess, is a guy who might be out there if his head's in the game. There's a couple people that might be out there. But, again, and it's hard to say after a wild card week because how many times have we seen where season ends and a week or 2 after you start to hear names of guys who you don't suspect would be guys who may be on their way out of wherever their current homes are.
Yeah, they get cut or waived, yeah.
So I think that's more of a question of maybe the week following the Super Bowl, we start getting into, okay, let's start zeroing in on targets for next season.
There is one, there is one guy I've had. There's one guy I've had my eye on. I mean, I've mentioned already that, like, if you look ahead to the free agent wide receiver class, there's a ton of guys that are about to be free agents, and there are a ton of guys that I would be glad to have. So in no way am I being picky, but if there's one guy that's at the top of my list, if that I want the most, it's probably Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson is one of the most underrated wide receivers. I think he's not being used well in Chicago, and I think he is still in his prime and could be a perfect wide receiver opposite the
no qualms with bringing Allen Robinson into this football team.
The only thing I would say about that is, well, I mean, he can win on the outside. He just hasn't. People forgotten how good Allen Robinson is because in Jacksonville, he mainly won on the outside, but in Chicago, he's kind of been used in the slot and things like that nature. We definitely need a bigger body wide receiver because if Jalen has 2022, you need a wide receiver more like how Alshon helped Carson, to where he can just throw it to go get it, and he doesn't have to be as accurate because the catch radius is so big. You bring up Allen Robinson, I'm on the Mike Williams train. Fuck everything. Maybe you even take a flyer on Chris Godwin, even though he has the ACL, but that's just a pipe dream, in my opinion. Because I don't think they're going to think they're going to dip their toes in the water twice. You know what I mean? But I definitely think a Mike Williams could be on the radar.
Mike Williams. I would love. I would be. Here's the thing. I don't know. Like, if you're the Chargers, he had such a great year. I'd try to sign him, but we'll see. We'll see. Again, it is early, like Chrome said, so it's hard to tell. But he did ask the question. I would love for Allen Robinson.
I mean, we're talking about guys that are supposed to be burners on the outside, right? Like in the Big 12, do they play in fucking like par? Like, how is Jalen Reagor ever a guy who, like, we looked at he's going to be our successor to Deshaun Jackson, and he's going to stretch the field, and he's going to – because he's one of the slowest fucking guys I've ever seen on a football field. He doesn't get
there's regular speed and play speed.
He gets ran down by guys.
Regular speed and play speed. Yep. His time speed.
What are they?
And I will say from experience, because I fell for it. His time speed, and there are games where he did look really fast, but man, in the pros he looks slow as shit. So, and it's a lot of it is up here now. Here, hold on.
Maybe we're just spoiled, Shucks, because we had Deshaun Jackson for as long as we had. We had a Torrey Smith who in our Super Bowl year who maybe didn't catch a ton of footballs.
We had some speed.
You're talking about a guy that had that speed, that stretched the field, and had the respect as a former Super Bowl MVP. And guess what? How many games did we see them? He was the first target when they threw their first pass, right? But you look at Jalen Reagor, and I'm like, oh my God, how is this guy ever in the conversation of being the successor of Deshaun Jackson?
I don't know. And you want to know what's alarming? I read this. I haven't been able to find it yet, Chrome. But apparently his dad made a quote or said something.
I'm sure. Of course he did.
He said, Monte Reagor said that he blames more. It's more so of Sirianni not using Jalen right, more than Jalen not getting his talents. And you know what? Here's the thing. If it would just hit like at face value on itself, it is what it is. It's a dad sticking up for his son. Whatever. I don't put anything to it. But here's the more concerning part. You know that if Monte is saying that and believing that, you 1,000% know that Jalen believes that too.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Chucks, his social media activity alone tells me that he believes that.
Yep.
He can't take any criticism whatsoever.
Yeah.
You talk about Mr. Softy.
Yeah.
Brutal.
The pro game right now is way too big for him. He crumbles and he's crumbled in the big moments, like not even big moments, in any moment, and like he can't come up with big plays. What's the biggest play he had last year? The punt return against Green Bay. That was the biggest play of his career so far. The punt return in Green Bay last year. I can't think of anything else that he's done that was.
So whose fault was it that he dropped the football on Sunday?
Exactly. Twice. So, it's I don't want to say painful, but like it's humbling because you know that I'm one of the rare guys that did want him, but man, he is horrible. He's nothing what I expected, and it's embarrassing, and I'm like, I hope that I never make that bad a mistake on a player again, as I did with Jalen Reagor, because he's horrible. He can't get out of himself, and like right before the show went on, HUD posted, made a post. Who was the worst first round pick? Was it Jalen Reagor or Danny Watkins? I absolutely say it's Jalen Reagor. And here's the thing. Danny Watkins, at least there was talent there, but he wasn't used right by and I've heard this from Jason Vaughn and Quentin Michael. He wasn't used right by the O-line coach at the time. I forget, was it Howard Mudd? I forget it was Mudd or whatnot. But Mudd just wasn't the right coach for Watkins. And so the little talent that Watkins had, it didn't get to flourish. But at least Watkins wasn't a big baby like Jalen is. You know what I mean? Like everything tends to just get worse with this guy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to like about him.
I would agree with you. But I'm not worried about a popularity contest. When I look at on the field, you got a guy who was a fireman who had no business being picked anywhere close to what he was. When you talk about Reagor, okay, yeah, absolute stretch. Wasn't that far off. He could have went 15 picks after where he went.
Like it's
Talk
like
about Danny Watkins where he went. That was as big of a whiff as you've ever seen in the draft for any organization. So like I think because Jalen Reagor's fresh and it's a developing situation as it is right now.
Yeah.
I think people tend to go for that. But if you take the diva stuff out, take the popularity crap out, and all that, take the social media aspect out, because not that I think Danny Watkins would have been on social media on and off the crap, but
yeah,
it is a different era, right? So you got to take all that stuff out. You just got to look at purely on the field. Where was this guy picked? What did he produce in college compared to what he produced in the pros? Danny Watkins did nothing. I don't even know if I ever remember seeing him on the field. I'm sure I know he was, but there's not a single moment where I say, "Oh, I remember that one time Danny Watkins was there." No, I can't. I can remember good, bad, or indifferent with Jalen Reagor. I think it's a narrative for people or an agenda for people if they pick Jalen Reagor over Watkins.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what I mean?
To be
But
honest,
you know what? I'll tell you, Chucks, I can forgive for a lot of things, right? We know what the J-Jaw thing compared to DK Metcalf was.
Yep.
You know, you could go back even further. You can look at Devontae Adams and Jordan Matthews. You can go and you can look at Nelson Aguilar compared to not taking Stephon Diggs. We have a history of doing this. To me, the worst one, without question, when you look at anything that you're getting out of the pro level compared to what you're going to, it's got to be Justin Jefferson. I'll never get over that they passed up on Justin Jefferson for Jalen Reagor.
Justin Jefferson,
never get over that.
Top 5 receiver in the league right now. So it's
never get over that.
Yeah.
And I know Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams, right? But at least Jordan Matthews gave you something. I know we've had the conversation. I'm not going to dive in. The drops and all that crap, right? That became popular for about a season and a half when he did have issues with drops. Also something that people gave Nelson Aguilar a pass for, who did it every year but 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But it became a narrative, right, for him. But at least he contributed something. He was almost 1,000-yard receiver a number of times. At a time where really they didn't have a lot of weapons on offense, right? They weren't doing enough to build the offense around. Where you put a guy who probably should have been probably a wide receiver 3, and they tried to slot him into being basically their number 1 wide receiver and make him more than he was, right?
Yep.
Like the old Sixers, Nelson or Andre Iguodala is going to be a star player.
Oh, yeah, perfect parallel. Yes,
always a guy who contribute and be a really good player on teams. You put him in the right role. He was never cast the right way. I always say that about Jordan Matthews. However, you saw on the 2 or 3 different times they brought him back, he made catches in key moments when they needed him to make them.
Yep.
So, but I digress. I will never forgive them. Even more than DK over J-Jaw, I will never forgive them in the first round for reaching for Jalen Reagor when you did not even need that type of receiver at that time and passing up on Justin Jefferson. I'll never forgive it, ever.
It was bad. It's bad. It's bad. Pete, I was telling while you were out, I was telling Chrome that Jalen Reagor's dad, Monte, had said that he blames Nick Sirianni for not using Jalen the right way as the main factor for Jalen's lack of success, more so than Jalen's lack of talent.
Well, that means Jalen Reagor is no longer going to be an Eagle. That's essentially like you can't.
I was saying that the quotes by itself aren't as worrisome, but the more alarming thing is that you know that Jalen agrees with that statement. He believes the same thing.
Wait, wasn't there something where they said Devontae and Jalen got into it on the sideline too?
Yeah, Devontae was yelling at Jalen over something. I saw a video clip of it. It wasn't long, but Devontae was yelling at him on the sideline. Again, I don't know about what. I don't know what degree. We see players yell all the time, I don't know what was said, but there was.
Yes, I mean, in a situation like that, that's where you just can't. I mean, I get it. He's speaking out for his son, but listen, man, he muffed the punt. That's kind of when the game was definitely, truly over.
After that, yeah, we had a chance. If
Yeah.
he catches that punt, not
Yeah.
even returns it, if he catches it, fair catches it,
Yeah.
we have good field position. If we score, it's still a game.
Right.
But
I mean, essentially, I mean, to me right now, based on look, and we did this with Chucks. I went and looked and I said Danny Watkins in 2011, and I looked at all the players drafted after him. You know, you had Cam Hayward, and then Cam Jordan. That's kind of like the two most notable. They both maybe end up fringe Hall of Famers. And I looked at, I'm like, okay, well, who was drafted after Jalen Reagor? And then the thing for me where I put Jalen on a track to be worse than Danny Watkins is because immediately after, you may have that dude that went right after him and that plays the same fucking position. That's the killer for Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor. But I think week 3, Jalen Reagor early in the season, he was beating people. He was beating people deep. You feel what I'm saying? He was beating people deep.
Jesse's spot on, by the way.
He is true.
I should say.
Now,
I think the point is like, how do you use him right or not use him right? He's right. Run a route, catch the football.
Right.
How are we not? How do you not use him right?
yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know. And it's not like Jalen Reagor wasn't getting looks where they were trying to like get him like rushing. Like, remember those games where we would do jet sweeps to him and stuff like that, give him carries. So Nick Sirianni has been trying to use them in different ways. It's produced nothing.
Right.
It's produced nothing. I had to go on a rant calling out Eagles fans because I kept seeing Eagles fans saying, "Oh, Jalen Reagor needs to be used like Debo. Use him like Debo. That'll work." No, it won't. No, it won't. He's not Debo. In what world is he Debo? So I like the whole like he's not being used right. It's so dumb.
And then when he is given an opportunity, I mean, like I said, I go back to the first Dallas game. First quarter, Jalen Hurts underthrew it. He had this receiver beat. He was on top of him. I think in the Tampa Bay game, defensive pass interference, he almost like 100 yards call. And pass interference calls. But then the first Giants game, is regardless of how shitty Jalen played, right? Hurts played it during that whole game. What do we all remember at the end? We all remember Reagor dropping it on 4th down. They would have put him. Would have tied the game or they would have won the game?
They would have won the game, I think.
They would have won the game.
I think they would have won the game.
So, Monte, my question to you is, all right, I get it. Maybe he's not being used in the way that you want to see him used. He's not the focal point. But when your fucking son has the chance, an opportunity to make a play, what happens?
Yeah, exactly. Even if he is getting open, there are routes where he absolutely is getting open. I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. There are plays where he's getting open, but not getting the ball thrown to him. When you are getting the opportunities, you have to capitalize on them. But he's not. That's the difference. Okay.
I gotta run out.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been.
I'm gonna drop in my predictions real quick for this week.
Do it. Because we'll get into that segment now.
Would not surprise me if Cincinnati wins, but I'm going with Tennessee for the simple fact Derrick Henry's the X factor for me. They can find a way if they can find a way to contain him. If he's not able to run at 85% of what he normally is, I think Cincinnati has a shot here. But I'm gonna go with Tennessee. And in terms of the AFC, I got to go with Kansas City. Kansas City is on freaking fire right now. That offense is clicking the last 6 games. I got to go with them. I can't go. I mean, and Andy has coached better and better as the season is going on. Patrick Mahomes looks like Patrick Mahomes. I'm going with that. On the NFC side, Chucks, I'm sorry, bud. Again, wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers figure it out. But I got to go Packers here.
Oh, I'm rooting for the Packers.
And for me, for the game right now, I got to say, we had a conversation right when we were going around the line. I think it was, I don't know what the lines changed, Pete. I think it was a 3.
Yeah.
For for Tampa Bay and the Rams.
Tampa Bay -3.
I would never bet against Tom Brady to win the football game, but I would bet the Rams in this game because I think that Tampa Bay wins this by a point or two.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I would actually shut up. I would actually bet this game. I would bet on the Rams at +3, but I think Tampa Bay wins this game. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Love you, bro.
Got dogs that are about to go
Thanks
insane.
for tuning in or coming on.
No, listen, they got me fired up. I yelled a lot today. Last week was very cordial, and I told you I'm coming back and I'm bringing some fire. So love you guys, love you out there, love the fam out there in the chat, and we'll be back on very soon. I'll probably be back on with you guys next week. So until then, everybody have a great weekend. Peace out. Enjoy divisional round weekend. Deuces.
Later.
Peace.
One more quick little bit before we get to the third quarter here. I just wanted to highlight this comment. Pete, I know you'll love it. Now I can't. Where did it go? There you go.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny because people, and rightfully so, they get on me for being totally wrong on Reagor. I deserve that. But I was also really high on Ayuk. I'm just saying. I was really high on Ayuk too. Just saying.
Yeah.
Saying.
No. I mean, and now this is what listening to Chris Sims, he's breaking down the Packers and 49ers, and that's the one thing they really weren't using Ayuk like they were in the first matchup. So I mean, it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see what we're going to see, but I don't know. It was right there in front of you. And the thing about the Reagor versus Jefferson thing is just like I don't know what they were looking for, and if it's as primitive as he plays on the outside and we think we can use him better than watching Jefferson's whole body of work and not being able to realize, okay, well, that'd be more versatile because the slot's just becoming just as important as the outside. Mike Evans didn't kill us from the outside on Sunday. Yes, he killed us from the slot.
The whole slot moniker being having a negative connotation to it needs to stop.
Yeah.
Just like the slot thing, if you're a slot receiver, people automatically think it's a bad thing. It's not. Like you beat defenses a lot within the slot. The slot is it's such an important part of any offense right now and defense. So slot is not a negative connotation. I think that, and remember, even though I was high on Reagor, I wasn't low on Jefferson.
Right.
I saw the talent in Jefferson too. I just fell into the trap of speed. And that's what the coaches and the Eagles front office fell for. They wanted speed. They wanted, because after that 2020 season, the one thing that was lacking on the Eagles offense was speed. And this is what I've learned from the whole experience when it comes to drafting, and what I need to learn from it after the whole Reagor debacle is you have to, even though there's a trait you're looking for,
right,
for your team, you still have to be able to take the better player if it's there. You have to keep that in consideration. I was too blinded by the possibility of having an elite deep threat in Jalen Reagor and what he could do if he were to become an elite deep threat. And I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. And the thing is, Justin Jefferson, even though he doesn't have, even though in college, I'm gonna say this, in college, not in the pros, in college, the film didn't show he was as fast. He was still plenty fast.
Mm-hmm.
He had a much more well-rounded skill set to even make up for the difference in speed. Right. So that's where I messed up big time as an evaluator, and will always try to work on and get better and never make that same mistake again. Mm-hmm. And it's really a shame. It's a shame. I think that's what the Eagles were looking at. Because remember, Doug Peterson was still here.
Right.
I think they wanted speed. They just wanted pure speed on the outside.
And that's where I will say this for the fam that's listening, whether you're watching this live or if you're catching us on all your podcast platforms or audio only. footwork is king in the NFL. I mean, don't get me wrong, physical traits are there, but at the end of the day, you got to have a blend of both, and that footwork is key to be able to get yourself open. It's good to run by somebody, but even DK out in Seattle, he's improved his footwork as well. I'll give you another one, Tyler Lockett. They put him in various different ways. He's not the fastest guy, but the little nuances, and that's what I saw with Justin Jefferson versus Jalen Reagor. And maybe Rager's going to be another Aguilar case to where he just needs to change the scenery, and maybe he'll hit it off somewhere. It just, I don't know. I don't know. But let's get into these games. The recap of this weekend.
Third quarter is brought
sir.
to you by Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. 2 locations, guys. Burlington and Cherry Hill. Make them your Specialized Physical Therapy.com. NFL playoffs. Start off with wildcard weekend, and the first game we're going to talk about is Niners Cowboys. How are we going to not talk about that first? Do you want to start it off?
Well, I mean, it's short and sweet. Like I saw somebody was comparing. We were talking about the Jalen Hurts conversation. They said, "How can we get on Jalen but not talk about Dak Kyler?" For one, Kyler's his first game, but Dak is coaching. Dak is playing with a fucking handicap. I don't know what Mike McCarthy was thinking to call that draw. And to be honest with you, the 49ers and Jimmy G, especially Jimmy G, he did his fucking best to keep Dallas in the game. That game was over. The one throw, I think he missed Ayuk, and Ayuk was wide open. He just overthrew it. If he hits that play, Dallas doesn't even get the ball back, or they don't get it back with a chance, and they put up some type of points.
That was painful.
It's just one of those things.
Did you see Ayuk? He burnt Diggs on that play too.
He overtook Diggs' over aggressiveness the whole time. It was I will say this: the biggest blowouts in a weekend in a whole, right, were teams that already had played each other maybe once before in the regular season, or twice. When you know a team so well, i.e. the Bills versus the Pats, i.e. the Rams versus the Cardinals. See what Tampa Bay did to us. Their game plan didn't change from the Week 6 matchup against the Eagles. Obviously, Cincinnati and the Raiders played earlier in the year as well. Nothing really changed. It just better prepares you for what you're going to see. Bless me. Thank you. But with San Fran, just looking at it on paper, and nobody ever played each other throughout the year, I just felt Dallas getting San Fran was the worst matchup because of the offensive-minded coach and how he can use their over-aggressiveness. And I would say this, with Kellen Moore, I don't know what happened to their game plan. They did this, don't commit to the run. They can't run the fucking ball. I don't know what happened to Dallas. Zeke, Pollard was successful earlier in the year during the regular season. They just couldn't get anything on the ground going. And then they couldn't stop Elijah Mitchell. They couldn't stop Debo. And the over-aggressiveness of Diggs and the other secondary, they tried to bail out everything for the run, put Micah Parsons at the line. And I would have used Micah Parsons in a different way. Listen, let's put him more in a freelance mode, in a roam mode, so we can use our best defensive weapon instead of just putting him at the line to where he can be easily blocked and wiped out of the play, or Kyle Shanahan can run away from him. And that's exactly what happened. I was not surprised by how that game played out at all.
I wasn't surprised either. It was a bad matchup. It absolutely was a bad matchup for the Cowboys. Let's get to the Cowboys first. I think when you see them try to do a lateral play on the first possession, they were feeling it.
Right.
And I think I heard a quote, and when I say feeling, I mean like they were nervous. They were trying to already be desperate. I think there was a quote where Mike McCarthy said before the game he could already tell some of his players were nervous. And I don't know if you saw the video of the Niners entrance coming out of the locker room. If you were to compare teams just by looking pregame or how they looked, you could tell Niners are going to win this game.
People forget they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah. And a lot of the players are still there. I think that with the Cowboys, you ask like what happened? It sounds like a cop-out, but the Cowboys happen to the Cowboys.
Oh,
They
all the
do
time.
this.
Cowboys
All
winning Cowboys at
the
some point during the season.
Time. All the time. It's like clockwork.
Dude.
Whether it be, I don't like. You could go back to every single season where they've started off hot and were claimed as contenders, and then you see how they choked. I don't care what it is. It's always something. It's always something that gets in the way. Always something. And I'm not trying to deliberately pound my chest, but man, when Mike McCarthy was hired, I told y'all. I told everyone, this is not the guy. This is not the guy. And you see why. You see why. Like the Cowboys looked like an unprepared, scared team that didn't know what they were doing. Like before I get to the QB sneak, the fake punt.
You mean the QB draw.
QB draw, sorry. The QB draw. I was confusing them with the Giants, my bad. So before we get to that, the fake punt, all right? They convert on this fake punt. What were they doing after? Like they kept the punt unit on the field. And then 18 seconds left on the play clock, then they try to substitute? Well, of course, if we try to substitute, the ref is going to stand over the ball so that the defense can substitute. And then they get the delay of game. What is that? Why are you keeping your punt team on the field? Why? Why? It doesn't make any sense. And then, so now let's get to the QB draw. I don't think there's this whole thing that T.O. even said it's the right call, poorly executed. All right, whatever. Let me give you that, okay? Let's just hypothetically say that it is the right call because it catches the defense off guard, blah, blah, blah. And Mike McCarthy after the game said he believes it was the right call. They practiced it a lot of times during the week. I call bullcrap. I call bullcrap. Because it sure didn't look like you practiced it at all during the week. Because you're doing it, and the wide receivers are looking like they're running routes. After Dak gets up, he acts like he doesn't know the rules. He's acting like he doesn't know the rules.
It's like Donovan. I didn't know you could tie.
To give it to your center to place the ball yourself. In what NFL game, what football game do the players place the ball themselves? You have to give the ball to the ref.
Right.
The ref has to spot the ball. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Like it was so badly executed that you cannot convince me that it was practiced. You cannot convince me. Cannot. So that's like the Cowboys. It's always something. And then the drops, obviously the pre-snap penalties with the offsides, neutral infractions, all the penalties. And like the Cowboys will always Cowboy. I don't know how. It might be a different reason every single time that they do, but the Cowboys will always Cowboy. And
it was there for them too, Chucks. Like
yeah.
They just had to use because the weakest part of San Fran's defense is a secondary, and they just didn't challenge them vertically at all. Yeah. At all. I was shocked by Kellen Moore not doing that. But who calls them? Is it Kellen Moore that calls the plays or Mike McCarthy?
I believe it's Kellen Moore.
Yeah, so that's I don't know what he was thinking. You didn't use what brought you to the dance at all. And
you know what? I think that how am I trying to say this? Troy Aikman brought up. I read this thing. Sorry, I can't talk. I read this thing by Troy Aikman when he was talking about how CeeDee Lamb only got one catch, and his point is such a good point. It's a long thing that he said, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing. But he's pretty much saying that when you have a great talent like that, CeeDee Lamb, I think is a great talent. I think he's so talented. Mm-hmm. The only flaw that he really has is the drops. He has too many drops. But I think a lot of offenses get into the trap of trying to rely on scheme too much. And I'm a guy that is huge on scheme. So I get it. Like I think scheme is highly important. But his point, which is a good point, is that I think offenses try too much to rely on scheme instead of just making it simple and saying, hey, my guy, my wide receiver is a better player than the guy lined up across from him. I am just going to give him the ball and let him work.
That's what you see out of Cincinnati. Cincinnati does that shit now. They just Chase is better than whatever the fuck you got over there. Higgins is better than whatever you got over there. We're just going to beat you. And then you can't. And for some reason, like you said, Kellen Moore and Dallas, they just don't do that. And a lot of teams start to do that. They think scheme over talent. And it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Philly 52's coming here. I think they do practice how to choke.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Wing says best part. Oh wait, hold on. That's that. He had another comment. I saw.
Yeah, he commented on Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah. Which we'll get to that in No Huddle. I have my thoughts on that trailer. But yeah, it's the Cowboys. I don't know what it is, but it's not surprising anymore. It just isn't surprising anymore. You could see this coming from a mile away, and you have people, I forget who it was on Twitter, that said like the Cowboys just got unlucky. I don't want to hear that.
How?
I don't want to hear unlucky.
Unlucky about who they played?
Yeah, because they played the Niners, which is right matchup. I don't want to hear that because they played their starters through the fourth quarter of the Week 18 game against us because they wanted to win so badly.
Right.
They played all their starters so they can get a higher seed. And they were playing a Niners team in Dallas or in what is it? Where's their stadium located?
Who?
I can't remember. The Dallas Stadium.
It's like Arlington.
Arlington. There.
Yeah.
In Arlington. So they're at home. Playing in Arlington against a Niners team who lost Nick Bosa halfway through the game. I do not want to hear about unlucky. I don't want to hear about unlucky.
Yep.
The Cowboys find a way to lose these games in the playoffs. They do. They just do. From the Niners side, you're absolutely right. The Jimmy G, he's good for one or two boneheaded plays a game. That's just in his DNA now. So those boneheaded plays, like him throwing that pick, was the worst thing that could have happened. That being said, they did enough to win the game, and you have to give them credit for that. Mm-hmm. Debo is a freaking animal. Like that touchdown, I don't know if you saw that touchdown run that he had.
Oh yeah.
Right before that, he told Kyle to give him the ball. Kyle gave him the ball, called his number, and he scored a touchdown. He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. Brandon Ayuk was torching Diggs all game. All game. It was a sight. And the other part of the Niners thing that I want to talk about, and this is what if they win, if they're going to win against the Packers, it's going to be for this reason. That defense is playing lights out right now. That defense is playing so well. And let me say this. For those Eagles fans who believe that the only way to play defense is to blitz and bring pressure, I give you Exhibit A, the Niners against the Cowboys. Because what did the Niners do? They rushed 4, played coverage, and they won the game that way. Their front 4 is getting pressure and winning at the line of scrimmage repeatedly. The linebackers, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, they are playing at a high level. The corners, defensive backs, safeties, they're all playing at a high level as a unit in coverage.
And now, when they had opportunities of vulnerabilities in their defense, Dallas, just for whatever reason, just didn't fucking expose them. They didn't expose them for whatever reason. Dak didn't see it. Kellen Moore didn't call it. I don't think you're going to have that same luxury this Sunday. Saturday night in Green Bay, in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers. And Devontae Adams who are fucking telepathic. They have telekinesis or something. These bitches probably finish each other's sentences first thing in the morning when they walk through the building. It's going to be tough, and I think. I can't see San Fran doing it. Which if when they did it the last time, they had Cap and he was able to run.
Yeah.
I don't think that Jimmy can do it this time. Yeah. I don't know Nick Bosa's status, but you got a Green Bay Packers team who can run the ball well, in more ways than what Dallas could. So they're going to make them have to think about two different things. And it's just going to be tough. And playing in Lambeau in the wintertime, it's going to be tough. And I seen somebody say earlier, this isn't about this regular playoffs. This is about legacy, man.
Hi.
Yo, kid.
I just got to talk to you guys. I'm sorry. I never do this. I never, ever do this. But I have to. I can't text it. I can't text you guys anymore. Right? And I'm not hijacking. I just want to talk and not text. Because texting always gets misinterpreted on both sides.
Yeah.
So it's easier for us because we're on different spectrum, and that's fine. That's what this is all about. This is what makes this great. This is what makes this platform great, and what we do great is that we can differ in opinions and probably still have the same conclusions at the end, right? And my only thing I want to say to you guys about Jonathan Gannon, I know you're not talking about that, so make sure you get back to what you're talking about. I'm not trying to circle back, all right, or kill the show. And I think people will enjoy this. Is that, listen, that's his defense, all right? I'm not going to tell you what defense that you should run or not run. But situations dictate you changing, right? That's it. Or changing a little bit. I'm not asking to be Jim Johnson. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's really where the league's at as a whole. But Tom Brady as a whole, the way you beat him is by blitzing, is by pressure. And all things being equal, I would love for my front four that I'm paying a ton of money to get home and make my life easier. They didn't start getting home till it was too late, right? So the first two drives is my issue, and he's not the main culprit of this game. That's Jalen Hurts. That's the story for another day, right? He's the second culprit in a way, because what I need from you is to set a tone, and the only way you set a tone early with Tom Brady is get him on his ass any way you can,
right? Any
way you can. Now you guys were saying something about there was a guy out there saying that he was bringing 5 once in a while. I want to know how many times, right? Because I watched it and maybe once or twice in 2 drives.
Right.
So I need to know, and then how much of that, when he did bring 5, how much of that was not only man, but press man, because Tom Brady is going to underneath of you. So I go into that game and say, hey, beat me over top 25 times today. Beat me over top 25 times. Rob Gronkowski said, I knew what they were running. They were going to run soft coverage and allow us underneath to not beat us over top. I understand that if AB and Godwin are playing, absolutely you don't have the personnel. But I never want to hear this back end didn't have the personnel to match up against Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski, because that's who you had to beat on Sunday. You didn't have to go beat, Scotty Miller and the other kid. You didn't have to beat them. So in that situation, Avonte Maddox is better than who they're going to put in the slot. And I got to assume Steven Nelson's been around long enough to be able to get up and bump, because hey, he wants to get the ball out of his hands faster than anybody in the country. So the only way I can stop that is by taking you off a route for a minute and changing your direction. So that's where I stand with Jonathan Gannon. I don't need you to bring 7. I don't need you to do those things. I need you to bring, hey, the sky's 5.
Right.
The sky's things. And we talked about it all week leading up. So I just wanted to tell you guys where I stand. I'm not yelling from the rooftops, he's got to be fired. But he told me that he plays to his player's strength.
Right.
That's what he told me. I didn't ask him.
Yeah.
Well, I think we forget that he was one bullshit call roughing the passer call from getting off the field. Now that game, this is my thing real quick, and I know we can get back to this weekend. If I'm Nick in that situation, you have to set the tone, like you said, Tom. You got to bring it to them. I don't fucking defer. I don't defer. I want to put points on the board first, because I know I don't have an offense with a team that can come back. And that's where that inexperience comes in.
Yeah. So, and to everything you're saying, Tom, I think it's completely fair. Mm-hmm. And anything that I say online, I've been saying online, isn't really directed at you. I put that thing on Facebook, like I told you, to bait you, because I knew it was going to get you fired off of, I think Tom's going to get fired off of reading this. But especially
if you get me for 10 a.m.
Yeah, I know. I know where you stand in terms of like I think you're one of the more fair people when it comes to Gannon because I've heard what you have to say. There are a lot of people who aren't being fair, and so to every point you say, it's valid. Like I have said that if I were to give a grade to Gannon overall this season, it would be like a C or C plus. There are so many things that I still would rather him do. There are a lot of things he has to improve on. The thing you talked about playing more press. After the first drive, starting with the second drive, he did play more press. I want to see it more. Pete, what did I say earlier in the show? The number one thing I wanted to see more was Darius Slay travel with Mike Evans. Yep. We didn't get enough of that. Exactly what I want to see more.
Tampa did a great job, Chucks, of putting him in the slot and forcing you not to almost be able to do it. Because, so they did a good game plan there.
Because what else did I say? If you end up with a matchup where it's Avonte Maddox versus Mike Evans, game Evans. It's Evans all game. And I love Avonte Maddox, but he's overmatched in any matchup where he's playing Mike Evans. He just is. So I don't want that to happen. I need Darius Slay on Mike Evans at all times. So that is one thing he didn't do well enough. I thought Slay should have traveled more. So So a lot of stuff you're saying is true. I think that blitzing is dangerous with Tom Brady, but I agree, and I think it's fair that you have to know certain times when to do it. Right. It has to be not often, but at the right times. And I think that Gannon did give did bring 5 at times. I think there were 1 or 2 plays where it turned out to be good. But the other times that he did, it wasn't. And
I think one he blitzed and they ran it.
Yeah.
And they got like a 10 or 12 yard gain on it.
There was another blitz. It was 5, and it was a quick first down to Gronk. I remember. I think it was at the 3rd drive or something. And I was like, you can't be like you can't be. So there's so much you can't do. And so like, Tom, I think you would agree. Marcus Epps is nothing more than a 3rd safety on your defense. So if there's any coverage where you have Marcus Epps going one-on-one against someone, it's a disadvantage. So I agree with your point.
Catch 22. Yeah. Catch 22.
Yeah.
Like me, we're joking in the chat.
I agree with so much of what you're saying. Mm-hmm. It's the people, you don't know how many times I've come across people fans, media who have been saying, Gannon has never adjusted throughout the season. Gannon has never tried to fix. That is totally incorrect. Halfway through the season, he started playing more man. He started getting out of all the soft zones and started playing more man and press. Maybe it wasn't as much as we wanted to, but he started to do things. He started to change stuff up. Mm-hmm. So my whole thing has always been about stop acting like he never tried to change when he actually definitely did.
Totally fair, because I don't expect them to run the same defense, because then the whole country knows what you're running. My thing is mix it up, but mix it up in the right situations. And that's why I like talking about it and not texting about it, because I knew we would be more, all 3 of us would be more like kumbaya on where we sort of stand with it. And me and Pete were joking in the chat, like, he's like, well, you're going to get killed. And if you play too much of it, Brady's going to kill you. He's going to beat you over top. I'm like, well, what's the difference? We're down 14-0 on it anyway. Right. So it's
go down swinging.
One way or the other, I'm still down. So I always look at it like this. And I'll give you 2 more things. One about Nick Sirianni that's concerning for next year. And then I'm leaving you guys. Right. But I just want to talk to you guys about it. The other thing is, like, when I play greatness, I always going to take the fight to you. I'm never going to be on my heels and let you get comfortable in what you do well, which is comfortable feet, which is getting rid of the ball in 3 seconds or under. Like, I want to take the fight to you. I saw too much of Heineke and the likes and Wilson get way too comfortable early on in football games. And that's the last thing I want to do. If I want to bring pressure early and go back to what I do well later on in a football game, that's how I look at it. Because what I'm always going to do is take the fight to you. And if you beat me, hey, you won today. But if you beat me by doing what you want to do, that's a loss that I got to sit with and will sit with all year, because I didn't lose going out. I brought a knife to a gunfight. And with personnel too. So I'm right with you guys. I'm not claiming that we got the greatest personnel in the world, but we got a front that's giving a lot of damn money that can't get home. Linebackers aren't good enough. We know this, but the only thing we have our best part probably of our defense, and we probably wouldn't have thought this coming in the year, is our secondary.
Yeah, our quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quarters,
it's our secondary.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw this. The last thing, and it's really concerning to me, and I know you guys watch more after the fact than most people, especially me. Like, I don't watch after the fact, but as much as because I run out of time or I forget. Right. But
not enough hours in the day for you.
I talked about it last night. They came out with 8 in the box most of the game, or at least 7 in the box, because we were jammed up. If you guys remember, we were in a bunch of bunch formations. Like, what are we doing? Spread them out. Right. This is how I attack this. I spread you the hell out. I got 4 wide receivers out. If Goedert's in the game, he's spread out too. The only thing I got in the backfield was a running back. That's my extra protection. That's it. So now if I hand it off to you, now I probably only dealing with 5 in the box, right? Then instead of dealing with 7 in the box, now again, dictating how we're going to go about a football game, not allowing you to dictate to me, right? And Nick Sirianni fell into the trap and really never made adjustments until Boston Scott in that formation sort of broke one. You're not helping your Jalen's not good enough, but you're not helping your quarterback out. You're not helping what your strength is, which is running the football, and you're not trusting your offensive line to block, to go out and block 5 guys. Like 5-on-5, can we win? That's what you do best. So I thought that he got in his own way a little bit early in the football game with his designs.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I was screaming for it. I wanted to see at that point. This is why you talk about setting the tone. This is why I think he should have took the ball on offense and the kickoff. It's just because you dictate to them. You could have came after that first drive and they put up 7. You go 3 and out. That next offensive possession, it just say, "Hey, Jalen, listen, I know this is what isn't what we worked on in practice, but we're gonna go 4 out. You see what you see. Get him out of his zone." And that opens up everything. When you're trying to run this bunch shit and you got so many people close to the line, you're just putting people at a disadvantage because it's easy for them to tackle the motherfucker with the ball. Because it's no misdirect, especially when you're not doing like Shanahan type shit or McVay type shit, where you're giving them the same look and you're running 5 or 6 different fucking things out of it. You're running 2 or 3 things out of it, and all the shit's been on tape for 17 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
What's the difference from an RPO spread out? It's the same thing. It's the same concepts, right? So it doesn't change anything if you're in the shotgun. Like, it changes nothing. Like, I don't want you under center against that football team. I think it blows too much stuff up early on you. The way they were attacking you in the box and the way you were bunched up. Never go under center there. I got to be in gun all game. And if I'm going to throw the ball 40 plus times, which this game dictated you to do, right? Then I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go. If I'm going to attack your corners, I'm not going to allow you to. I want to see the pressure you're bringing. Right, instead of bunched up where, man, I got 7 or 8 guys I can count that are going to come. That's why every running play was blown up from the start, not because their offensive line's not good, because they just pinned their ears back. And the biggest concerning part of it all, and I think we already know this, is that it comes out today that you got defensive guys saying this guy can't read a defense, something we all talked about and know. And I got to go, and you think we're all going to believe Howie Roseman that this is the quarterback next year? Get a clue. Get a clue. Get a clue if anybody out there buys his statement. We have no problem with. I don't want to buy it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you gave me that same shit last year with Wentz with a dude that was somewhat more proven and still polarizing in the city, and you have people on one side of the fence and the other side, I'm definitely not believing you now. Definitely not. I'm not saying you're actively looking like that. You're not turning over every stone and corner. But you're listening. You got feelers out there now because you got 3 first-round picks. I want you to make at least 2 of these motherfucking picks, hopefully, because I mean we need some defense desperately, and you need a quarterback. And I fucking say it again. I was screaming it on Sunday in the chat. You drafted this kid number 10 overall for a reason. Please use him.
Yes.
Please go to him.
Well, you did the Joe Burrow thing. You went out and got somebody's boy, and you expect a connection, which the connection was as much as it could be there when you have a quarterback that won't go through progressions. Yeah. The biggest thing moving into next year is, and this is really where I'll leave you guys, and then go back to what you're saying. I want your opinion on this. I think they trade one of them picks. I think they trade one of them picks to the following year's draft and get a first, because I'll give Jalen Hurts next year, but I'm going to go in the Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and there's going to be 2 or 3 more guys that jump here, right? That I'm going to go into that draft with 2 firsts, saying, okay, if he doesn't work, I got a roster build out now that I can go get my guy, and now it's a plug and play. And I don't think that everybody out there assumes you get a young quarterback and it's a process. No. It's only a process when your team's a dumpster fire. It's not a process when you have a good football team, because that guy comes in, right, and he learns on the fly, but you got a lot of talent around him, and you can still win football games and go to the postseason. I want to make that clear. Just because you're a rookie, if you go to the right situation to a winning football team, okay, maybe you don't win that year, but you sure as heck are winning the next year. So I don't buy the patience. These guys are coming into the same offense. They're pro-style offenses in college that are the same offense being around here in the pro.
That's the key. That's the key, Tom. There's no more delineation between college and pro. Not as much as it was. This isn't the NFL of 20 years ago. Yep. Your quarterback has already learned a lot of the similar concepts from college into the pros. And it's just a different game. You don't have to sit your rookie quarterback anymore. You just don't. It's not that type of league anymore. I did, before you go, I did want to ask, I've been meaning to ask like the whole A2D chat, because you know that I play catch up when it comes to college football. I only do the draft stuff. But what is your take on Bryce Young? I only saw him in the national championship game. He struggled. What is your take on Bryce Young? Because I know he's one of the up and coming quarterbacks that's supposed to be higher up, especially for next year. Do you think, like, he looks a little small, so I don't know if that's too much of a concern. So you guys have watched him more than I have. What is your take on Bryce Young?
It's a good one. I chalk up the national championship game. I almost asterisk. I almost don't even count it for him. I mean, you're playing the best defense in college football probably in the last 20 years. I'll say at least 10, right? I mean, that's how dominant Georgia's defense was, and you just carved their ass up 3 weeks before that, right? You shredded them. So it's almost like I don't expect you to do it again to that type of defense. And then you lose Jamison Williams, after a big play, and he carved them up in the first game. So losing both of his number one options that at that point of the year, I think affects him a little bit. It's not an excuse. He didn't play well enough, but his body of work I really, really like. And I didn't know how much I would like him before I watched him. Now he has question marks too, but I think the biggest key is he goes through progressions. He goes through them. You watch him out there going through. He knows he has the legs to escape everything. He throws the ball extremely well on the run. The other guy to really look at, right, and leave you this, Bryce Young, I think is going to be special, but let's see how he does in year 2 after the Heisman, because he's a young guy winning that award. How do you bounce back from that? Do you go back to a national championship? Are you still the same type of player, or do you take a step back because you sort of rest on your laurels? When you look at a guy like C.J. Stroud, that's an intriguing one to me, because Ohio State quarterbacks are usually never good, but something about that kid is special. He seems determined. He seems like a worker. So that's another name that, like, I usually would never touch Ohio State quarterbacks, but something about him I really like. I truly do. Now, if it translates, I don't know. And there's going to be a Barrow. There's going to – not saying there's going to be – comes out, yeah. Somebody's going to win and really jump up draft boards. But to me, hey, whatever decision they make, I don't think it's – I'm not going to say it's the wrong one unless you're giving up like 3 firsts for Russell Wilson, because I think that's egregious, because you have to win in 2 years. You can't assume he's playing until he's 40. You got to win in 2 years.
I want Wilson, but that's too much. I would not give him 3 firsts.
Right. And then at that point, every other hole on your team that you want to fix through the draft, you have to now go out and get a free agency.
Yeah, I'll give you 15 and 19. Call it a day. Yeah. But I ain't giving you, I'd rather give you 1 this year and 1 next year, but I'll do this even better. I'll give you 1 this year and next year. And I'll send you my quarterback on his.
I was just about to say, you got to.
And I'll send you Andre Dillard. You need the offensive line help. I'll send you Andre Dillard.
Yeah, and I want DK back and Russ then. Right? I mean, I'm making a blockbuster type deal. But hey, listen, it's going to be a good off season, because we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and we're set up for success. But listen, I just wanted to jump on, and I just wanted to muck it up with you, because I wanted to muck it up with you. But Chucks, I agree with you. Like my overall grade of Jonathan Gannon through this year is a little unknown, right? Because I don't know him well enough yet. I think he's a little too missionary for me. But listen, could that be personnel? Sure. Listen, I'm not going to say it's not, right? But if I'm short on personnel, then I'm going to take a fight to people then and try to make up for it, which I saw at times. But I think he really relied on his front and expected more from them, and they didn't deliver. And that's not a scheme thing. That's, hey, can you beat the guy in front of you? Like, I don't want to hear scheme up front. I don't think he's stunned enough to help out his line. He did at times, but never enough to like get great guys open, right? But like, I'm right with you. I like a C. I'm like a C for Gannon. Like, there's no need to, like, I'm not gonna fire a guy after 1 year. I mean, you know, just because Tom Brady cars your ass up. But, you know, let's see what next year entails. But I knew we would be more all on the same page, so that's why it's like, hey, you get all this.
It's always worse when it's through text online. Right. It's always worse. It's always worse.
Oh, so you know I was gonna take a shot at you. Like, what? I don't know football because I'm not a scout. Like, come on,
I knew it. That's why I posted it. I'm like, he's so gonna eat this up. I was cracking up.
But I do like to hear the things after the fact. Like, maybe I didn't see him bring 5. You know, and you know, at the times I was looking, right, or whatever the case may be. On Sunday, I had daddy duty, so I'm freaking. I got a crawler. So I could have missed a play or two.
Oh, I missed stuff too. There's always like, that's why I always have to go back. I'm like, wait, did this really happen? Especially on defense. Like,
now I have to because of that.
For us, the national championship game. This is how me and Chuck's are. We weren't even fucking watching the national feed. Like, he wasn't watching the game at all. And I'm like, the feed with Jimbo Fisher, watching, breaking down each play with the coach, and then the all 22. He started watching. That's what we watch because that's where you get. Everything. And I understand the NFL, people forget as a fan, they're presenting you a fucking product. They're presenting you a product. The product is going to follow where the action is, and the action is where the ball is. So you're just not going to see everything. And like we said, very well, the Gannon give band-aids to what he had. Yeah, could he did more? Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? And now the heat is on. Next year, you got 3 first-round picks, whatever they do, especially if these picks that they end up keeping in the first round, if they go out and they get a Sauce Gardner, if they go out and because we're going to have to replace CB2 because Steven Nelson's on a 1-year deal. If they go out and get a safety, if they go out and get a linebacker, if they do some shit and they draft the next linebacker since 1979 with Jerry Robinson, guess what, Gannon? Bitch,
now it's on you. Now it's on you.
Now it's on you.
Pieces, now it's on you. Absolutely.
Now it's definitely on you. And same thing for Nick. Like Tom said, I think draft is going to be defense, free agent. Well, I've seen Marcus Williams as a free agent, the safety out of the Saints. I know we hate the fucking Saints, but I'll take Marcus Williams in a fucking heartbeat as a safety.
It worked when we took Malcolm from him. So absolutely.
Exactly. I'll take a safety from the Saints any day of the week because they're fucking like $70 million over the cap. They can't afford him. So he's going to walk. But
Marcus Williams known to miss a tackle on the sidelines, but
that is true.
He's better than Omar Epps, right?
Yeah.
In Major League 2. So I'm all over Marcus Williams. Listen, I just want talent. You guys want talent. Don, the thing that scares me about Nick for next season is that adjustment. Like if Jalen's your quarterback, understanding that. Because you got to run it. You did it. You did it after you're 2-5. You ran a different offense and you catered to him and you made that big adjustment. But in the biggest game of your season, you didn't make that adjustment like at all. And it might have been when you did, it was probably way too late. And that's my concerning thing. Like, but again, what quarterback is Nick Sirianni going to have next year? A guy that can run his offense or a guy that we gotta go to like a wing T. So I don't know. I love you guys.
Love you, Big Dad.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
I didn't give you a warning. I just was like, I'm coming in. I'm not even giving him a warning.
Hey, we love it.
I had a feeling.
We didn't know Cole was coming on either. He came on, surprised us. So we were like, we love having 2 surprise guests.
The more the merrier, bro.
It's great.
How about this, Al? Would you move on from Gannon if you could do that in Mike Zimmer?
Yeah,
I keep Gannon, but if Zimmer gets he already got the can.
He already got the can.
I would. If you were to promise me you'd get a legit proven defensive coordinator like Zimmer or Vic Fangio is obviously the popular one, I would absolutely take it over Gannon.
I would want Gannon to get a head coaching job, and then we bring in Zimmer, bring in Fangio.
Zimmer or Fangio. That would be amazing.
We're going to bring in Fangio just because of the 3-4 aspect, right?
That's true.
Because then we really got to value linebackers, and we're not. You know what I mean? Like here now, we're going to value linebackers, right? Like now here we go. But no, I think I think Zimmer's like a perfect fit because they're sort of two, Gannon learned from Zimmer. So I think that would be a good
He's
one.
just more evolved.
I think it's like the Dan Quinn effect, even though the Cowboys stink, but you go get a guy coming back to now being what he does great. And, you see an uptick. All right, boys, finish off what you're talking about. I'm getting out.
Peace.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to jump into divisional round real quick.
Yeah, let's.
Devondre Campbell is a free agent this year, by the way. I know that's why you brought him up, but
someone brought him
I know,
up.
I saw it.
Yeah, he saw that. He was like, how I mentioned Devondre Campbell.
I think it was Don. Happy belated birthday, Don, by the way.
Don, happy belated. Love you. But yeah, Devondre, we need to capitalize in free agency, get a linebacker, like a low cost linebacker. Someone on Twitter had mentioned Kaiser White from the Chargers, which would make a lot of sense. A lot of Chargers fans love him and thought he should have been a Pro Bowler. He's under the radar. He could be on a cheap deal, and he would be a system fit if Gannon stays. It makes a lot of sense. So, let's do. So we talked about the Niners-Cowboys game a lot. Let's go into the picks. All right, let's go into divisional round, and let's start off. We're talking about Niners. Let's go to Niners-Packers, and I'll say this right off the bat, which I hinted at earlier when Chrome was giving his picks, and it will shock people. I am rooting for the Packers to win this game. The Packers were my Super Bowl pick. I want to see Aaron Rodgers win the Super Bowl. I am rooting for the Packers. I think the Packers will win. Another reason is because the Niners, I love their team. I love how they're playing right now. I think it's going to be another great and close game. I think it's a tough matchup for the Packers because the Niners have a strong run game. The Packers have a weak run defense. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. But I think that the power of Aaron Rodgers and how good he is just too much. It's too much for the Niners to be able to overcome. And I think Jimmy G's one or two boneheaded plays, it's not – when he does those against the Packers are going to capitalize. Yep. And it's going to be too much, too big. And this is where we had mentioned it last week, Pete, or was it 2 weeks ago? I forget. This is where I believe that not going with Trey Lance at the beginning of the year bites Kyle.
We said it going into week 18.
Yeah. So
week 18, we said
if they had started Trey Lance from the beginning of the year, and Trey Lance had the whole season to learn, develop, and progress, and get the system and get more games under his belt, so that by this time he wouldn't be as raw. I believe the ceiling would have been higher for the Niners, where they could have possibly had a better chance to beat the Packers. But with Jimmy G, I think their ceiling is capped. I don't think they can go as far because of Jimmy G, who I think Jimmy G is a middle-of-the-road quarterback. I don't think he sucks. Right. A lot of people say he sucks. He doesn't suck. I think he's a game manager and a middle-of-the-road quarterback, and that's not bad. I just think that this is where it ends, and this is where the difference is. The Packers having Aaron Rodgers versus the Niners having Jimmy G. So that's why I go with Packers. Now, would I be shocked or would I be upset if the Niners won? Hell no. I'd be really happy. I'd be very, very happy if the Niners won. I'd be really, really and it wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me at all because, like I said, the matchup is interesting. I don't see it. I think Rodgers is on a mission this year to avenge his loss to the Bucs last year and to come out on top. And I think we get an NFC Conference Championship matchup between the Packers and the Bucs this time in Green Bay.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's where it was at last year. So I'm just thinking different outcome this year. But I'm going Packers. I want you kind of spoke pretty much about everything on the game. Aaron Rodgers against that defense, how they were playing Dallas and they were playing with fire in Dallas and then burn them. They're going to get burned on Saturday night if they do the same thing. And it's going to be DeMeco Ryans versus Matt LaFleur And like I said before, they can run the ball with Aaron Jones and they can run the ball with a bruiser, A.J. Dillon. It's different. And then Jimmy G is going to make a play or two. That's just going to put them in jeopardy. He does it every game, and that's just going to be because Aaron Rodgers, for how good he is, he doesn't turn it over.
He doesn't
turn it over.
He doesn't turn it over. Debo, I do think also Debo will have another good game.
He will.
That's why I think it's close. That's why I think it'll be close.
Ayuk with Jair Alexander coming back, that's going to be
that's tough. That's another
I think they're going to have Zadarius Smith as well. I don't know what the line is on the game. I think it's actually Green Bay -6. Okay. I can kind of see a route where San Fran covers the game, but I mean I'm going Green Bay. My safest play in that game will probably be Green Bay money line, straight up. Yeah. Green Bay money line. So then I think the early game on Saturday is Titans Bengals, Tennessee #1 seed, Bengals #4 seed, I believe. If they have Derrick Henry with how vulnerable Cincinnati's defensive line is now, I think they just lost Ojinobi for the rest of the playoffs. I know Chase they're gonna have to do it. They're gonna have to do what brought him to the dance. Cincinnati's gonna have to do what brought him to the dance. Burrow's gonna have to play another good one. If he's truly playing unconscious like he is, and Chase is playing unconscious, T. Higgins was kind of quiet last Saturday against the Raiders. If he can have a big game, I can see a route where the Bengals can win, but the more likelihood scenario is going to be King Henry, Deontay Foreman running that ball, playing keep away from the Bengals, and just putting them in the hole. You got Kevin Byard and Mike Vrabel. People forget Mike Vrabel arguably may be the best coach to come out of the Belichick coaching tree. He's been the most consistent.
Yeah.
He's been the most consistent, and he wasn't dealt the best of hands this year, and they still ended up with the #1 seed and beat 6 playoff teams on the way after losing Derrick Henry.
Quietly in #1 seed. Crazy.
So I'm going Titans in that game, but I would also take a flyer with the Bengals with the spread. I don't even know what the spread is, but I can see the Bengals possibly covering the spread if it's close.
I am going Bengals. I think the Bengals are hot at the right time.
Okay.
I think that the Titans are going to lean on Derrick Henry, and rightfully so. He's coming back. You have to lean on him. I just think I'm not going to say shootout because obviously if Titans are going to run the ball a lot, it's going to be a ball control offense for them. So it's not going to be a shootout, but I think the Bengals are going to match them blow for blow.
Okay.
I have this feeling. I really believe in that offense a lot. So I think the Bengals win a tight one.
Okay.
I think they win by like 3. And I just want to answer this one question here. Don asks, wait, y'all really think Trey Lance would be ready? Yes. Ready is a relative term. I think that Trey Lance, I don't think he would have been a polished passer yet, still, because he's a lot to work on. But here's the thing. I don't think that you'd be seeing the same mistakes that we saw in his 2 starts. In his 2 starts, you saw a guy who was raw, who was yellow and didn't really. He was still adjusting to the speed of the game. But I think if you were to have started him in the beginning of the year and come playoff time, I don't think I think he would have been more adjusted to the speed of the game. And you're forgetting his ability to run would have allowed Kyle Shanahan to be a lot more creative with run designs. Imagine that running attack with Trey Lance, Elijah Mitchell, and Debo, and imagine all the different things that Kyle Shanahan would have been able to do. That's why I say the ceiling would have been higher for the Niners, because their running attack, which is already deadly, would have been even deadlier with Trey Lance. Yeah. And you're getting potentially I don't think Lance would have made the same bonehead mistakes each game that Jimmy G is prone to making.
Yeah, and they don't go generally deep on the outside because Jimmy G just doesn't have the same.
Yeah, exactly. So you get more deep shots, more deep playability with Trey Lance. Yeah. The other 2 games. Which one's first?
Tampa Bay Rams is at 3:00 on Sunday.
I got the Bucs. I've got the Bucs in that game.
I have the Rams.
I could see it happening. Let me tell you this. I'm only picking the Bucs because, one, I think Brady is now feeling it and starting to trust the weapon he does have. And 2, I just want to see the rematch. I just want to see the rematch really bad between the Bucs and the Packers. I wanted to see it since last year, and I want to see it again. So, hey,
I'm going Rams because I think OBJ. I think the things that we should have took advantage of, or you would look at Tampa Bay's defense and be able to take advantage of, is what the Rams are going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I will call him the offensive player of the year, in my opinion. Was very quiet on Monday night. Very quiet. Cooper Kupp was very, very, very quiet. And OBJ's kind of been that dude for them for the past couple of weeks. And now I think we're going to get back to that with the emergence of, like you said, our boy Cam Akers. I think they actually get Darrell Henderson back as well this week, potentially, and Sony Michel. Then having the ability to be able to run the ball somewhat, and you had to kind of keep Tampa Bay honest. But I just think on the defensive side of the ball against Tampa Bay, I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey. He's probably going to shadow Mike Evans all over the field. I listen. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Don't get me wrong. Tristan Wirfs may be out. He's not going to be 100%. I think Ryan Jensen's going to play. Yeah. But when you got Donald, I mean, who would have thought we talk about the Rams versus Buck and and Aaron Donald's like the 15 that we mentioned, and then you got Von Miller on top of that.
Yeah,
that
is very true. They're feeling it. And hey, I've been tweeting it. I need to say it. Cam Akers, I really wish would get a nomination for comeback player of the year simply because of last game he played and because he's here. He's not just out
How
there.
did he tear it in the first place?
Something at practice. I forget what it was. It was doing something at practice.
Okay.
But, bro, this guy is explosive. He looks quick. He's playing physical, and it is absolutely insane that he is only, 9 months? Less than 9 months.
He tore it in July.
So 8 months.
8 months.
Removed from a torn Achilles. Like, that boggles my mind.
Yep.
For a running back to tear his Achilles and in 8 months, he's back on the field looking like he does. That is absolutely insane.
Yep.
Insane. So shout out to him. I'm so happy to see him back on the field. He looks great. You make great points, and I think I'm thinking with my heart wanting to go for the Bucs, but I think my head is saying, yeah, I think the Rams will win. So I do think you're right. Philly 52 asked a question: would Fields have been better than Lance on the Niners? I say no. And if you remember before the draft, I am one of the only ones that predicted this correctly. Like that you'll find. I bet money that Kyle Shanahan and the Niners were going to take Trey Lance. Because when I looked at him, he's exactly what Kyle wants in terms of how can I maximize my offense. Now, I love Fields and his potential, but I think Trey Lance has a bigger potential than Fields does. And I think that Fields has shown he could Fields did stuff at North Dakota that match what Kyle Shanahan or some of what Kyle Shanahan already runs.
Right.
Whereas Fields at Ohio State didn't. Trey Lance was running a lot of under center stuff, a lot of QB grinders on stuff. Like a lot of the run concepts were the same, whereas Fields it wasn't. So that familiarity with the system and the concepts was a big plus. So I do not think Fields would have been the better choice for the Niners. I think Lance was the perfect fit, was exactly what Kyle wanted, and that's why I kind of knew it all along that he was going to be the pick there at 3. So, but I do. That's not to slight Fields. I do like Fields a lot, and I'm glad I traded for him in my keeper league. So I'm kind of hoping that he turns out to be really good because that'll be great for me. But I do think it's Lance.
All right, cool. So last game, Chiefs Bills Sunday night, 6:30. I'm Bills Mafia all day, man.
Are you really?
Bro, listen, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna back and look. The conference championship game was Chiefs 38, Bills 24. They played early in the season this year, 38-20. Obviously, it's a different Chiefs team now. It's a different Bills team now. But it's a different Bills team now where they actually have somewhat committed to the run with Devin Singletary.
Who looked good.
He's starting to look good.
Singletary looked good.
And they're starting to get Diggs more involved. And I think Josh Allen is just in the zone. Dawson Knox, Leslie Frazier, Sean McDermott, seeing the Kansas City defense again. I'm pretty sure Tariq is not 100% healthy with the heel. He's still obviously going to play. I mean, it could be a potential last game of the season. Kelsey's going to do Kelsey's thing. But this is where I say I like the supporting cast and what the balance is better on the Bills defense, even without Tre'Davious White, versus a Byron Pringle, versus a McCole Hardman. I just think it's the Bills' time. I have a hard time. Andy Reid is going to lay a goose egg at some point. He's going to drop a shit some point. And I understand Pat Mahomes. I get all that. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand. I think it's time for Buffalo. They need to take that next step, and I think they take that next step Sunday night.
Here's another one of these games. In my heart, it's Chiefs, but my head tells me Bills. I do agree with a lot of what you said. I think the Bills are starting to really. I think the difference maker for me was watching Devin Singletary run the way he did. I've been saying it. I don't think Devin Singletary is anything. I said it last week. I don't think he's anything special, but the way he ran last week against the Patriots is the best I've seen him run ever. I never thought that he could be able to run like that. If he keeps running like that, and obviously if Josh Allen doesn't revert to mistake-prone Josh Allen like he does sometimes, I do think that they're the better team. So I do think that they would come out on top. It's
crazy. I just thought about it. Like these playoffs, outside of San Francisco, Dallas, every other matchup that we've had so far, these teams have played each other in the regular season.
That's true.
Non-division.
That is true.
I'll take that back because I don't think Cincy and Tennessee played. So that's 2. But that's still the other 2 games they've already played each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
So it's going to be all 4 of these games are going to be fucking good.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that we don't get more than one blowout. Like,
yeah, I was
kind of disappointed. 4 of the games last weekend were blowouts.
Yep.
I was like, oh god damn. So yeah. I'm hoping we get close games. I think we will. Yeah.
I think San Fran is the lowest seed left, the 6th seed. I think they're the only underdog to win on the road last week.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think they were. Yeah.
So
no huddle.
Do you have anything for no huddle? We kind of got overextended with the surprises.
Let me just say it. We wanted to. Well, someone brought up a movie. The trailer. There you go. I just wanted to bring it up because it was brought up. Everyone is talking about, Moon Knight looks good. I wasn't impressed with the trailer. Does anyone else agree or disagree? Like,
I found it.
Impressed with the trailer. It looks like another. It looks just like another typical origin story for a hero.
Right.
And then the trailer just shows him at the end of a quick glance, and that's it.
Yeah, like I found a hard time following it. Did you have a hard time following it? Like at one point, I'm like, I felt like it was. I mean, obviously trailers jump, but it jumped to the point to where, at what point from the very first trailer where we seen him get his powers, right? To now, I'm like, okay, so does he have him already? Did that shit already take place?
Yeah.
Like where are we at? And then we see him at the end with all the bandages and shit like that. So
I'm not saying that I'm not excited.
Right.
I'm just, when I'm talking about just the trailer, it didn't excite me. Like it's
right.
I need more. So
when is it? Is it January or February release?
February.
I think it's right after Boba Fett. I know that.
Moon Knight release dates. March 30th.
Oh wow! So we got some
So
more
we
time.
got like another 2 months.
That's more time for Peace. Check. Do yourself a favor. Watch Peacemaker, man.
Peacemaker? No. I'm watching Arcane right now. My friend told me to watch Arcane on Netflix. So I've been
Who?
watching that. It's really good.
Arcane?
Yeah. Animated. It's an animated series based off League of Legends. But you don't need to know anything about League of Legends to be able to follow.
Are you saying Arcane?
Yeah. Arcane.
I think I already watched it. Let me take a look.
With Viper and Powder.
Yes, I already watched it. Yeah, I'm done. As soon as you said that, I already watched it.
Yeah.
It
I'm
is
on
good.
I'm on episode 5.
It's good.
It's good. I like it.
He said he heard Philly 52 said he heard the main star Moonlight died.
I haven't heard that. I forget his name. Poe Dameron.
Chris Isaac?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
No, I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Oh. You're looking up now. Also,
no, he's still alive.
we talked about it. What happened?
He's still alive.
Yeah. We talked about it already, but I wanted to, for the fam listening, who are still listening, I watched The Eternals. Dude, that movie sucked.
It did suck. No, so real quick clarification, not him. Another actor who I think is supposed to be the antagonist, Gaspard Ulliel, who's playing the character Anton Mogart. He passed away a couple of days ago.
Oh, there you go. Matt Walsh said it.
Skiing accident. That's the same thing that got Sonny Bono, yo.
Gotcha. But yeah, watch The Eternals. That movie sucked. I think it's the second worst Marvel movie, behind Iron Man 3.
Where would you put? I thought you were gonna say, like, to me, my top three worst Marvel movies are Iron Man 3, and this is no specific order.
Yeah.
Eternals and Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel was bad. That was bad. I didn't like that movie.
Those are my three.
The only bright spot of Eternals was Gemma Chan. That's it.
I like Brian Tyree Henry. I wasn't a fan of how they portrayed. I don't know why we had to do all that. I just don't know why we feel like we need to go out of our way to do shit like that anymore. I really liked I remember the character's name, the dude who did all the mind control, the one Eternal who did the mind control.
Oh yeah.
I think his performance, he was very low key, but his presence was big. I mean, but it served at some point. We're going to look at it. It's going to serve a purpose. At some point.
Yeah,
it's going to serve a purpose.
It felt like it was something that was meant to be so grand, but at the same time, it felt insignificant. For I don't know how to explain it, but like it's supposed to be something that's like catastrophic to the world, right? Like it's supposed to be a big thing, like. But
all these big things happen.
Yeah,
before that. And you had Shang-Chi. Like, you can't follow up Shang-Chi, because I got to make sure how to say it right. Shang-Chi with that shit, and then sandwich No Way Home after that. Like, it gets lost. Yeah,
it's lost. Yes,
especially when you throw in a Hawkeye series who started really super slow but ended up really good.
Yep.
It just, the best part was the post-credit scene, and I'll spoil it. Black Knight, and I hear Marisha Ali voice in the background. You sure you ready for that? And that's Blade. I'm like, bitch, just give me that. You could have just gave me the opening credits, the final act, and that. I didn't need act, like Chuck says, act 1 and act 2. I didn't need all that. Give me the climax, give me the post-credit scene, bang, bang, boom, all the night.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Walsh says here, I'm so pumped for Michael Keaton to play Batman again, The Flash, and Batgirl. I'm really hoping that we eventually get a live-action adaptation of Batman Beyond with Keaton as older Bruce Wayne. Yeah, we should have same sentiment. Like, me, Pete, for those who are listening still, me, Pete, Jake, and Andy, we have our own like nerds chat, and we talk about this. We were actually talking about this Batman topic the other day. Yeah, I'm like very excited for Keaton to play.
Yeah, listen, Don, Mr. Wing, I will throw this out there. Listen, hit us up on WhatsApp. I will add you to the HFTN, Home for the Nerds. Fucking take this thing, man. Get some t-shirts. We'll fucking run the roll.
Make it
I'm
go up.
serious, bro, because it's like
Yeah.
we need more because there's only 4 of us, and it's usually the
Yeah.
same people. And it's always different opinions, but we kind of know each other so well, so we kind of
Yeah.
feel how it flows. You know what I mean? So let me know.
Yeah. Philly 52 asked what we thought of Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye had its moments.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was anything great,
Mhm.
but I did like toward the last few episodes, last couple of episodes I thought were really good. I love Yelena. I love her character. Like anything that she's in, I will automatically love because I think she's a great character. She's hilarious, good fighter. Just she belongs, and I think she's one of my favorite characters in the MCU right now. I love Yelena. So
from Jeremy Renner's standpoint, it was good to see a family man superhero, like who deals with real shit and keeping promises to his kids and not being the man that he wants to be or the father he wants to be. But the biggest shit was Agent Mockingbird. I mean, who fucking saw that coming? Kind of a little bit with his wife, so you can see where that's going. Haley Steinfeld on how you said, yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, you give me Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
Did we talk about here on the show about like my stance on the whole Kingpin thing?
I don't think so.
All right, so if you're listening still again, and then we'll wrap it up after this. Here's my thing. I love the fact that he's the king, but he's reprising the role as Kingpin. I love that obviously that Charlie Cox is reprising his role as Daredevil. I love it. I'm so happy. I just hope that the MCU does their characters right because them playing their characters is only half the battle. The other half of what made that show, the Daredevil show, great was the tone, the violence, everything. That has to be carried over, at least partly carried over.
Right.
Like you have to have a similar, like you love that street level aspect of it, and what you saw from the Daredevil show, like the 2 iconic fight scenes, the hallway scene in season 1 and the stairwell scene in season 2, those are the 2 best fight scenes in anything Marvel has ever, better than anything MCU has done ever. You have to do something like that. You have to be able to keep the violence going. The people loved it because it was real, it was dark, it was gritty. The fight choreography was amazing. So you have to keep that sort of aspect going forward. If they now, because the MCU, they're not like the DCEU. Okay, they're not dark and gritty. They have this. You know what their tone is, which is fine. Like I'm not complaining, but what I'm saying is, we loved that show for that tone. I just hope that they don't butcher these characters going forward, Kingpin and Daredevil, and if they bring back Punisher, I hope they don't butcher them in whatever role they'll have in the MCU going forward, because it's very easy to do that. I love that the actors do an amazing job, perfect job with the characters, but in order for Daredevil to be Daredevil and for Kingpin to be Kingpin, a lot of the same elements have to carry over from the Netflix series to the MCU. So. All right, guys. I think that's all we got. We ran 2 hours, 37 minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good show.
It was a great show.
So two surprise guests, not guests, 2 surprise hosts on that popped on to surprise us and you guys. So it was welcome edition. The Eagle season has come to an end, but that doesn't mean our show does. We are here throughout the whole year, as you guys know. We will be here throughout the playoffs, giving you playoff recaps and previews, and continue to talk more Eagles as the offseason approaches. I know you guys are all excited like we are, so be with us all offseason, guys. We appreciate your support. We have the draft to talk about. We have the free agency to talk about. So much to talk about. So thank you for your support, for listening in. Definitely shoot us or hit us up. If you need to, you know where we are on social media. If you have Twitter, you know where to hit me up. Facebook, Twitter for Pete. Thank you for all you listening. Thank you for all our sponsors that helped us out for the show, the support, especially our main sponsor, Fan Up. And to everyone else out there, remember, be safe, protect yourself. God bless. Enjoy the divisional round playoffs, and we will see you next Thursday. Same time, same place. Peace out, guys.
Mayor out.